This is why I pay Ed the big bucks.
Yes, worth it. Every cent. Give that man a raise.
Ed, you hear that? You're gonna get a how much? What kind of percentage raise should we give him, you guys?
Ooh, let's roll for it.
Roll for it? Okay, somebody roll some percentage dice and tell me what you get.
D100s coming up.
All right, Ed, we're determining your raise. Hold on a second.
300, 3,000.
What percentage dice?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, 3,000.
There it is. Dice. Oh wow, a 59% raise. There
Okay,
you go.
Ed, we're giving you a 59% raise. What does that put you at now? 59%. $0. Whoops. Actually, I would totally be paying Ed, but he has a day job and he can't take money, so it's life. But he's so worth it. He does such a great job. He's done stuff for Layer Magazine. Yeah, he's worth his weight in gold. But sadly, he can't pay him. All right, I'm gonna start this shindig up.
Good.
All right, let's see the right button. Woo. There's the right button. All right, here we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the live stream tonight. This way, that's my left or right, or anyway, these people right here, these are 4 people. They're joining us on the stream today. This is the cast crew members or something of Peak D&D. They are a YouTube channel. They create videos on YouTube about D&D, and they're gonna be hanging out with us tonight. We're gonna talk about D&D crap. We'll probably talk about YouTube stuff too, because they're all getting started on their YouTube journey, and they probably want to pepper me with questions, and I'll give them some answers and crap. And yeah, these guys are also playing through my Kickstarter module Into the Fey on their YouTube channel as well. And there are links in the chat for getting to their YouTube channel and checking their stuff out. So, okay, yeah, tonight we're just gonna hang out with these guys. We're talking D&D and crap. It's gonna be fun. Yay. Wee. Oh, you know what, guys? Before we jump in, I have some mandatory plugs that I have to do at the beginning of my stream. So if you'll bear with me just one moment, and then I will let you introduce yourselves. It probably much better than I just did. Okay, so first mandatory plug of the stream is for Layer Magazine. If you guys are looking to reduce your prep time and increase the awesomeness of your D&D games, I recommend you take a look at my Patreon. Every single month, my patrons get an issue of Layer Magazine. It has tons of 5th edition D&D RPG resources in it for folks. Vows and Vengeance, which is our May issue, it's going to be coming out in about a week and a half now, and it contains 10 magic item curses, 5 encounters, 10 random tables, 10 villains with stat blocks, and it has 2 complete 5th edition adventures in it. Talakanski's Revenge, designed for level 8, and The Worm Witch, designed for level 5, and the May issue also has bonus content from the Dungeon Coach. He has a YouTube channel, and he creates cool, awesome homebrew content as well. So bonus content in May. And go check that out. There's a link right there. It's good. Whee! Oh, by the way, you get the maps too. Like, you don't have to buy the map image files separately. You literally get them with the magazine. So you don't have to buy crap twice, which sucks. We know what that means. And now we display the names of a bunch of awesome people who help keep the lights on around here. These beautiful patrons here help me to create all of the D&D and RPG content that I create for free for folks. So very, very appreciative of all these folks here. And then these folks here support the channel and all the content at a higher level. They get their names read off. Can you guys see the screen? Peak D&D?
We have the chat up, but we don't have the
you don't have the screen up? Oh, geez. Okay. Hold on a second. I'm gonna have you read their names. Stand by a second.
Yeah, I can bring it up.
No. I got you. I'll send my virtual camera your way.
Right. I love Bush.
Okay, there you go. Read those. One of you guys gets to read those names off. Go.
Oh, wow. All right. That's Rathia, Babohan, Brad A, Blaine C, 𝐑𝐄𝐒, Brian S, Cody B has left the building. Heretic, Dresna, Endorian 72, Eric S, Fallon, Goliath Cleric, Hydra Slayer. That's awesome. Oh, it's cut off on the chat.
Jacob S.
Jacob S. Jake L. You guys keep it going. I'm going to move the screen.
James
so I can
L.
see
Jeremy W. Joel, Josh G. Yeah, Joshua. There might be another letter I can't see.
Wow. There's a whole other column. Oh, man.
Wow.
Oh, jeez. 5E Magic Shop, Chris H. Now we're going backwards. Edward L. Ian R. Izzy T. And I guess it was Joshua G. Go for it, Tony.
Oh, shoot. I lost our place.
All right, Joseph H. and Josh U. S.
Kate S. Karen C. Kazides.
Kobe, Kyle M, Carico, Leopold X92, Lord Kamek, Lori S, Luke G, Mad Quad, Maelstrom, Michael C, Michael H,
Munlio V.
there you go.
Owen D. Paul B. Paul R. Penguin Butt. Published author. Race W. Rachel S. Ramsey M. Richard M. Robert W. Rock and Roll Joe. Ron H. Ryan Jew. Sakura. Scott C. Shody Tabaxi.
Simon,
Simon. Snapdragger. Sophie M. Son of a Sofa Man. Stetson H. Stephen F.
Okay, hold on. Let's have Nick do the last two lines.
All right, I'll do my best. It's hard to see. The old DM, the picket, the pike, pickle. That's that. Tech, theta tag, squiggly line.
Tim Black.
All right,
Tony M.
Hey, I'm Tony M.
Somebody rules who rules. Tooth and nail. All right. Tyler N. We've got Tyler R. Xavier H. And W. Williams. And Tactical Tokens. Shout out to those guys.
Wow. Yeah, thank you, patrons. I apologize for the horrible name destruction that just took place there. Yeah.
Thank you, Luke's patrons. Yeah.
I just lost patrons. Now I'm gonna say I think Tony definitely had the best read off of everybody. You know, Ben and Nick, I'm sorry you guys were slaughtering it. Max, yours was passably acceptable, you know. But Tony definitely had the best one. So good job. So that was your first test. Chat, how did they do? Was that a pass or a fail? Let us know. If they failed, then we could just end it all right here. Let's see what they say. Nick needs new glasses. It's a real thing. That's your wife, I believe.
Thanks, Michelle.
10 out of 10. Well, Dan says it's good. So if Dan says it's good, I suppose we're fine. Penguin Butt wants you guys to read it from now on. By the way, Penguin Butt she's one of my moderators. She was trying to leave my channel to go check you guys out. I don't know.
How dare she?
I don't know how I feel about that, but okay. All right, sweet. So, Peak D&D, tell us about yourselves. Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you here? Yeah.
All right, seat number 1. Go for it.
I'm on 4 on the screen. Hey everybody, we are Peak D&D. My name is Ben. I'm one of the players on the channel. I'm also one of the editors for all of our video content. And we are here at 9,000 feet in a little town called Silverthorne, Colorado, up in the Rocky Mountains. And we are just keeping it real here at the Peak. And we love Dungeons and Dragons. We've been playing for a combined, half a century. And we've been all the way from, we started with 2nd edition, 3.5 was a favorite, and now we're playing 5th edition, have been for the last few years. And we just sort of decided to start our YouTube journey and making some videos. And really it's about having good times with your friends. So that's why we all came together, was to have some fun playing some D&D. I'll throw it over to our DM of all sizes, Nick.
Hey everybody, I'm Nick. I am the Dungeon Master of Peak D&D. I was actually kind of headhunted for this project. It's just because I've played with all of these nerds at various campaigns, and they invited me to come do my silly goblin voices for a wider audience. So here I am, riding all their coattails and reaping all the benefits while providing no technical knowledge whatsoever. We are just starting out at Peak D&D. We are our very first module is Into the Fey. You should check it out. I hear the author is pretty dedicated to this D&D stuff. And I'm going to throw it over to Max. Yeah, well, don't sell yourself short. You're the hot one, so we're riding on your coattails as well.
I know. I'm a little concerned because if people just stop watching me and go watch the hot one, I'm going to be in trouble.
It's cool, man. We'll have you on. It'll be great.
I could be a special guest. Yes, that's great.
Special guest. I'm Max. Yeah, I mean, those guys kind of covered it. Yeah, we started this recently. It's funny how it all came together. Like within a day, I mean, probably within 19 hours, both Ben and Tony at different points were like, hey, man, we should start making YouTube videos. And like Ben was like, oh, we should do some talking head stuff. And Tony was like, oh, we should do some gameplay stuff. And like one only needs so many signs, right, from the universe. We were like, oh, yeah, maybe we should do this. And so, yeah, there'd been a Wednesday night D&D game that's been running 18 years probably up here. And so this is just sort of like came out of that.
Excellent.
And I'm Tony, and I guess you could probably call me the head hunter of picking out of our group who we could put this together with in that 19 hours that I talked to Max, that Max heard from Ben about the talking heads. So we just wrapped it up all into one. I do some of the video editing as well. I also, it's not like advertised or live yet, but I did put together our website that we're still kind of working on in the back end, but will be available soon. But yeah, it's more so just all about getting together, and we all play on Wednesdays every week anyway, so why not put it to the wider audience?
Sweet. Awesome. So 19 hours, everything was just like wrapped together and put together, and like, oh, we're doing it.
Yeah. So
yeah, kind of like it was just like, it's funny, but I like went and had coffee with Ben, and we were walking around. He's like, dude, I really think like I've been watching some YouTube videos, and like, man, we could do it. I was like, okay. And then like literally the next afternoon, Tony and I are on the disc golf course. And he's like, hey man, like I really think we should make some gameplay videos. 19 hours. I was like, well, all right. And then we started the process. And this was like this was fall of 19. So like easily when projects could have been crushed by outside circumstances of 2020, we persevered and tried to figure out what we were doing.
Now, when did you guys actually start creating the YouTube videos and stuff?
So a little thing happened in the world about March of 2020, which was our original launch date. So we had to sort of put, getting together around a table and playing games on hiatus. We moved all of our games online, like just about everybody else who plays does. And then we sort of had a lot of things cooking in the background, working on different concepts for different types of videos we'd want to do. I started learning everything I could about YouTube and the algorithm and all that crazy stuff. But yeah, it was funny. We have test footage that was like literally 4 days before lockdown happened. And so it was like, well, I guess we'll just put this on the back burner for a minute.
I think it was a GoPro, an iPhone, and an actual camera recorder.
Yeah, it was humble beginnings.
Nice. Well, iPhones aren't too bad. You can get some decent stuff off from an iPhone at the very least.
Been our best video quality.
That was the best of all of them, was the phone.
Wow.
It was the phone for like our battle cam footage. It's just small and you can get it in there.
Oh yeah. What do you guys use right now for your cameras when you do your gameplay?
We've got a couple of Canon G50s.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 1080. They're not like 4K ready yet, but that'll be the next step. You know.
Yeah, 4K. You need to have some serious hard drives and a very good computer to edit that crap.
That's what we're learning about. But you know, YouTube 1080 is good enough. Is what most YouTube videos are.
Yeah.
So as long as we can shoot in 1080, and then you know it gets rendered down because it's sort of like this. It's like a multi-screen type view that we do for play videos. But yeah, the Canons they're fun cameras. They're made for long form recording. You know, like the DSLRs. Usually you're limited to like 30 minutes unless if you're recording on an SD card or do an HDMI capture and all that kind of stuff too. But that's tech when you're running 4 cameras at once.
So the G50s then, they don't have a time limit. They just go.
Yeah, as long as you have memory on the cards, you can record. So for our purposes, for gameplay, when all 4 of us are talking, and then we sync it up with the audio, and then we do the multi-screen layout sort of overlay thing.
Yeah. So we're talking about the gameplay and stuff, and you guys are playing through Into the Fey, which is the module I did as a Kickstarter and stuff. So yeah, just talk about that. Tell us how much it sucks and how much you have to like pretend to have fun. Let's go. They're all.
Needs more dragons.
More dragons. It's a level 1 module. It needs more dragons.
No, it's so fun because I've always kind of felt like as a DM that the Fae are underutilized, I think, as antagonists for your players. Everybody fights undead, everybody fights devils and demons, but there's not as much with Fae, which was interesting to me. I try to work them in a lot in my own campaigns, and it was cool to me to see a module where they are set up in the principal antagonist role. So that's something I'm enjoying very much.
Yeah, and Fae are like, they're kind of like a trickster thing too, they're not just like, we're gonna go in and kill you all and slaughter you, they're like, they play with you, they screw with you, they're trickster guys, which probably makes them harder to utilize in that way, because it's easy to just have monsters that just want to bite your face off, but to have monsters that are sly and cunning and tricksterous, I think is harder to roleplay from a dungeon master's point of view, and it's probably harder to write a module about, but what do you guys like?
Nobody likes Jastian in the chat. You're right.
For real?
They want to end
yes,
Jastian.
yes, they do.
Who's Jastian?
That's my character in the game. He's a warlock, and he's been born with a silver spoon in his mouth. His dad basically pays him hush money to stay out of his business, and but he always ends up trying to smooth talk his way out of everything. And he's a warlock, high charisma, right? So he's really good at that, except when it comes to the Feywild, and he always ends up rolling very poorly on persuasion checks.
Okay. That sucks. Why do people want to kill him though? Why would people want to kill him? Why does Ed want to kill him? The party wants to kill him?
I think the Fae that were fighting wants to kill Jack.
I understand now. I was lost. Okay.
They knocked him down a couple of times, I believe. Yeah. Well, he's what he gets for touching creepy altars.
I did touch the altar right away. I was like, there's gotta be a secret compartment in here. And that was bad. That was bad news bears. Don't spoiler alert, don't touch forbidden altars of dark gods.
Or maybe do. Who knows if that's in the baseline module or if that's something I added.
Who knows? Yeah. Maybe.
Well,
I don't.
The great thing is though that even though there's like some horrible hideous altar or some horrible thing in the game, you can always count on there being one player who's like, I'm gonna touch it because I want to know what happens.
I appreciate those players so much as a DM.
Yes, I love those players.
Just told me to not touch it. What, 5 minutes before he did?
Something like that.
Well, he wanted to do it himself. You can't blame him for wanting to touch it himself.
paladin of don't touch the evil thing, and I'm like, okay, I won't.
Yes.
So you play a paladin, Tony?
Yeah, so I play a dwarf paladin. His name is Gord. His little backstory is that he's from a small root vegetable farm down south, and Helm called to him to help with the forests and the evilness that's going on up north. So he ventured on and tried to use Helm and use his divine power to help the situation.
Found himself in Airedale from the beet farm.
Hey, all root vegetables.
All root vegetables.
So you,
I sometimes think of like Dwight Schrute, like his family is like Schrute Farms in the office. That's what I picture if we were to go visit Gord's house. I feel like that's what it would be like.
That's canon, just so everyone understands. All right.
so Tony, your paladin used to be a beet farmer.
He knows root vegetables. So him and his family farmed root vegetables.
Wonderful.
Various root vegetable quips and recipe knowledge that he imparts on the city life.
He always talks about potatoes, and he has various catchphrases that are based on like, "You're gonna bleed like a beet on a cutting board." Ridiculous stuff.
Well, I think the last one in our last episode, the last one that came up was, well, that way I can kill 2 birds with 1 potato.
2 birds with 1 potato, folks.
And other observations of a similar caliber. Yes. It's good though, because Gord being like the fish out of the water, and like, so I'm a rogue and Jastian is a warlock, so we're a bit more savvy and chaotic in alignment. So anytime we need the paladin to look the other way, it's like, oh my God, is that a rutabaga? It's like, what?
We were in Pit and Pop's general store together, and during one adventure, and Max was sort of intimidating. Our rogue was intimidating the shop owner. Sorry, Pit and Pop, and I just said, "Hey, Gord, I think there's some potatoes down there," and so we walked away to look for potatoes. It's very convenient to distract the paladin.
It's very convenient.
Wow. That Pit and Pop, you mentioned Pit and Pop. That is the name of an NPC for one of my games. It was the name Pit and Pop. The Pit and Pop was the name of a gnome that one of my groups rescued and found and stuff and helped out. But they couldn't say, they started calling him Pudding Pop. They were like, instead of Pit and Pop, they're like Pudding Pop, and they wouldn't call him by his right name. And so when I was creating that gnome shopkeeper, I was like, I know what I'm calling this guy, Pit and Pop.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, but that was the first place that we went to.
Yep.
The absolute first thing they did was call him Pudding Pop. The very first thing.
To the point that Max got an idea.
Oh yeah, he actually had a copyright contract on him and made the party sign over the rights to the Pudding Pop. And now he's going to make so much money selling those, it's going to be great. But I get Pudding Pops for life, so it's win-win.
Wow. That sounds awesome. You guys are talking about like your roots and the rutabagas and beets and stuff and all these sayings that you have and all this crap. And I'm like sitting here, I'm thinking like, I don't get that into role playing my characters like ever, That just sounds really cool. It sounds like you guys really get into it and stuff. That's awesome.
We like having a good time, and we decided to show up with some pretty elaborate backstories for this campaign, this module. Maybe just to create other storylines that we'll have to like weed out from the actual module itself at some point. But we've our group tends to do that. We tend to backstory a lot with our characters, and it's sort of a blast, and it's more fun just to mess with Nick's head, to be like, hey, what if I'm a beet farmer? What would that do?
I can work with beet farmer. That's fine.
What? Okay, so Max, how long was your backstory? How many pages would you say it was?
Oh, not so much pages. I don't. Just just not a very happy story. Like, for whatever reason, I like making characters with sad backstories. And but it all came out pretty organically. Like I had never played a rogue in 5th edition, and so I was like, all right, I knew I wanted to do that. And then I wear it on the sleeve. I'm a bit of a min-maxer. It is a part of my name. And so I was like, all right, well, how can I, like, what background works well with what I wanted to do? And then I was an urchin. And then I kind of just like went from there. I was like, all right, well, what causes a halfling to grow up on the city streets of Airedale by himself? And kind of just like, I heard a story, what was it, with the dude who created Daredevil. It all came out of like, well, I wonder what happened to the canister when, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that's what happens to the canister from Daredevil. So it's like, okay, well, how did this guy get here? And, just a series of unfortunate events that led Illingsworth to where he was. But then he met his good friends, Jastine and Gord. And so things are on the up and up.
Awesome. Now, Nick, so they did these backstories. Were these backstories like exceedingly long, or were they short, concise?
I think they were honestly fairly concise. It's simply just kind of, Max mentioned like organic development. Mm-hmm. A lot of the most interesting parts of each character have just come about as they live in the world, as they react to what's happening to each other and to Airedale. And it's become, it's basically, we've developed in jokes at a record pace with this party. And now we're here to tell them all to you. But no, it's there's a lot to the characters, and I appreciate that very much. That gives me more to work with, and kind of gives me permission to make every NPC they talk to a colorful figure as well.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that they gave you useful, interesting, dynamic backstories that weren't like 20 pages long. That's
the thing about that too, is that we've played with Nick probably for at least for 2 campaigns
thereabouts each,
I think. Yeah. So we knew his style, and we knew how he liked to tell stories.
Yeah.
Where I'm sure he's reached out to all of us on different campaigns of like, hey, so what do you think your character would think about this before a session even happened? So we kind of all know that that's kind of his process of liking to work all of our backstories and characters, whether we have one or not, a backstory, into what he's already storytelling. So we just kind of probably hyped that up a little bit for this particular campaign, being our first on YouTube.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'm gonna have to watch your guys' games more. It sounds friggin' fun.
We like it. Though we certainly aren't going to argue with you. Please join us. We just got our custom YouTube URL too.
Oh yeah, that you get that at 100 subs, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you guys have only been doing this a month, right? That was like your oldest video.
Yeah.
It took me to get to 100. I think I was trying to get to 100 for several months. It was a long road for me. Yeah.
Look at you now.
I know. Well, I was super slow. And my buddy over at the Dungeon Coach, he's another YouTube channel. I think he hit 10,000 in a year, I think.
Yep.
And after like a year and a half, I was only at like 4,000. I was grinding it away and slow, so. Wait, what was that, Max?
When did you start?
When did I start? Gosh. Probably was like 2017 or something. Somebody could go on my YouTube channel and go back to the earliest one and tell me when. Actually, we could probably just look. Let's just look. Let's see. Let's go to my YouTube channel and see. I can't remember dates and stuff, and my memory really sucks. But let's go to my YouTube channel.
Follow-up question: when did you start your second streaming channel?
Wait, let me answer one question at a time.
In a Spanish Inquisition. Fanatical devotion to the Pope.
Hold on a second.
How often should you?
Quiet. Okay, so the first video on my channel is January 4th, 2018. So a little over 3 years ago. But I actually started putting videos up about 6 months before then. So it actually would have been the summer of 2017. I put up like 2 videos. It was like, I'll put up a video and then like 3 months will go by. I'll put up another video, you know, and they were so horrible. They're now unlisted. You can't find them. They're like private. It's like nobody's watching these. They're so bad. But the oldest ones on there now are the ones that are still kind of cringy, but like not quite as bad. So I was like, I guess those can stay up there. Because there's good information in there, even though like this was my early days, so my delivery sucked, video quality sucked, audio sucked, background sucked, a lot of stuff sucked. It's like the longer you do it, the better you get, you know, and you just slowly you improve, you get better and better. Well, most people do. There are the people that start doing it and then they never get better, they never change what they're doing, they never try to improve, you know, and they have a steady suck, you know what I mean? So
I think our theory behind that is keep all of the B-side roles, so then we're rich and famous. Then we'll give it to you guys.
Oh, the old stuff?
Yeah.
You see the cringy stuff later on.
Yes, exactly. Unlock the
Hopefully
super.
it's not all cringy all the time at this point. We're just getting started, so things are going to continue to ramp up. But
Yeah, it takes a while. Yeah. All right. So, what do you guys want to talk about? Do you guys want to go? You want to do some D&D questions? I know people have been asking some questions here, so we could jump into some questions, hit some questions for a little bit, and then we can transition. I know you guys wanted to talk about YouTube crap. We can talk about some of that. So maybe we transition into some Q&A. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. Excellent. Let's pop over here. All right. A cat right underneath my foot. Let's see. I gotta change something really quick. Change that.
subs to Ed and Penguin Butt, who have been like, they said they were some of our first subscribers outside of, like, you know, my family.
Outside of the 4 people you see.
Early on. Thanks,
And
y'all.
57 fake accounts.
Are they both? Is Ed a mod too?
Yeah, Ed's about to. Yeah. All right.
Mods are putting it down.
I
Stop.
just. My mods are awesome. My moderators are absolutely awesome. I just sent you a link in the Zoom chat to the sheet that has the questions in it. That way you guys are able to see them too. It might make it a little bit easier for you if you bring those up on screen. And Ben's leaving. He's like, I'm done. I'm leaving. Goodbye. All right. So Ed Robinson wants to know, what's the story between Justine and Thelma Tompkins? Now, I know Thelma Tompkins, Captain Thelma Tompkins. So tell us what's going on. You guys talk. I'm going to get some more coffee. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Tompkins. I thought it was a you.
Tompkins.
Whatever you say it is. Well, it's I'm sure Ben will want to tell his version of this story. I'm excited to hear this version of the story. But it's kind of a noodle incident. It's to use a vernacular. But essentially, Ben's character Jastian has been nothing but a troublemaker and a delinquent for most of his life. And he keeps getting into legal trouble as a consequence of his party boy lifestyle and getting bailed out by his rich father. So by the time the campaign actually starts, Tompkins is just over him entirely and does not want to hear one excuse from his lips, and is worried that he's going to be a bad influence on the cinnamon roll of a paladin that the party has.
Yes. So I think this was very early on. The first time I heard the name, I thought he said Thumpkins instead of Tompkins.
And that's what she's been called ever since.
But it's done. And there's a history there. I think that Jastian and her may have dated. That's my thought.
In your dreams, kid.
So Jastian's a high charisma warlock, right?
Yes,
Now-
he's basically a bard.
No, no.
As far as, when it comes to seduction and things like that, that's sort of my backstory for him. It's great.
Okay. Now, Nick, when you were describing Captain Thelma Tompkins to his character, did you emphasize how not pretty she is?
I didn't emphasize it that much, but I did make note that she was no beauty queen. That doesn't matter to Jastian.
So
That was never in question.
So, Jastian
don't
is
think it would disturb you all that much.
so Jastian is able to see the beauty beneath the cover, then, right?
Exactly. He's
Wonderful.
you know, he's not speciesist. He's a half elf himself. So humans, gnomes, dwarves, elves. You know, he's here for the ride. He's here for wherever life takes him.
And her gross incompetence at being able to resolve any of the issues in the Airedale area didn't turn you off either?
He questioned it, but he just figured that, you know, everyone's you know, maybe she's in a job that she doesn't like. I don't know. Maybe she's perfectly reasonable explanation for it.
You know, I did my own playtest, right? And stuff. And one of the feedbacks I got in the playtest was, you know, hey, these adventures, we love them. They're all this stuff, right? But why don't the guards just take care of all the problems themselves? You know what I mean? Like, why do the players and their characters have to do it? You know what I mean? Why can't they just take care of it? You know, you should have something in there that explains like why the Captain Thelma Tompkins and the Airedale soldiers don't just take care of the Fey issue themselves, you know? And I don't think you guys got this version of it, but in one of my iterations of the introduction to the module, I put in there, I was like, if your players ask you why the guards don't just take care of all the issues, here's a few things you can tell them. Number one, because if they did, there'd be no game for you to play. Okay. Number two, and you know, the guards are overburdened, they got too much to do, they can't do everything, it's too dangerous. I don't know. Make up some reasons. I gave them some reasons. But it's always that, you know, the guards can't. If the guards did, then the players would have no game to play. It's like, you know, but it came up in playtest, so I was like, okay, I suppose I should put a little something in here to help explain this, right?
Alfred Hitchcock has a great quote about that. Like, somebody asked him why the characters in thrillers don't just go to the police, and he said, because it's dull. It's boring if the city guard can handle everything. What are the adventurers going to do? Yeah, so I've never viewed that as a particular impediment to having a fun time at the table.
Yeah, totally. It's just, it makes sense. It's what makes the game exist, even. Yeah, totally. Ed is, I don't know what Ed's doing. Ed's copying stuff into Word.
Word.
Next question. As a DM, what's the silliest request you allowed a player to do that could backfire on them spectacularly?
Sorry, I'm hearing sirens in my mind. Like the Kill Bill theme. Let's see here. There have been a few times that's happened. The one that's coming to mind, this is back when I was doing a 3-5 game. There was a character, there was an NPC who was an epic level wizard, which you should never do. But the party member in question knew he was an epic level wizard and still decided to just drop trow in the middle of his garden and pee on the flowers he was taking very good care of. So that's an example that jumps to mind immediately. Nobody at this table did that one. That was one of my first games.
What happened?
Yeah. Well, he got a shocking grasp spell where nobody should have a shocking grasp spell. And I'd love to say that was the end of the peeing on things, but it was not. Not by a long shot.
Was he marking his territory? Or she? Or?
Yeah, he was a 3 queen, and for some reason thought giant bug person means pee indiscriminately.
Okay.
And pee indiscriminately became pee on whenever it was funny to pee on something. I
Okay.
guess. So I don't really understand that character concept all that well.
He's never had pets as a person, because if you had any pets at all, you'd understand. Dogs peeing indiscriminately or cats peeing indiscriminately is never a good thing, and they will quickly get in trouble.
Yeah.
Dang. Have you guys in game, in Into the Fey, in that game, players, what silly, dumb, ill-advised thing have you perhaps done? And everybody looks at Ben, they're like, ah!
Yeah, Brian, do you have an example? So because my Jastian chose the Archfey as his patron, for his warlock status, and so I created this. Part of his backstory was that he was always just sort of obsessed with the Feywild and everything natural, and he was driven by this desire to learn more about it. So we encountered one of the ways that people can get back and forth between the realms, and we sent in our rogue as a scout, which was a very smart move. And then he came back and said, "Yeah, I think that goes to the Feywild," and I just jumped through. Like I just went straight for it by myself, and was suddenly in this cave. I had an encounter with a visage of one of the main bad guys in the module, and that was pretty intense. And I was pretty sure that was going to be the end of Jastian, that he was just going to die. But at least he had made it to the Feywild. Turns out he was able to get back more or less unscathed from that.
Minus a blood sacrifice.
Now, he may or may not have made a blood sacrifice to the Queen below, and we have yet to see what's going to develop from that.
Now, Nick, what bad guy was it that he ran into?
Where he stepped out was a sort of like mirror shrine on the Feywild to the Queen below, and he spoke with like a manifestation of her that was speaking through her altar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Max,
So it's really for me to meet the big bad or one of them and not, be instantly vaporized. It was like the inscription on the wall was talking to me.
I believe the module notes said that if the party does begin to explore the Feywild at this point, they should encounter something that would let them know that's a bad idea. And that's what I thought of.
yeah, because it's called Into the Fey, right? But the hub of adventure is in Airedale, which is on the prime material plane, right? So the idea is that if the players just are able to go into the Fey and just start wandering around, you'd be departing from the module in a large way. The dungeon master would have to improvise everything. So it was kind of like there were guardrails put in place to try to keep the adventuring party in the adventure hub. Obviously dungeon masters can do what they want, but that was kind of the thing. It's like, if they go in here, you might want to do something to let them know that we're too low level yet to be here. So
Nick came up with a penalty for me doing that. Was I think my charisma and my intelligence dropped by 4 points.
Oh, that was an entirely separate bad decision.
Yeah, that was a different.
That was touching the altar. That was touching the mortal plane counterpart of the altar.
So he's been giving me hints, but Jastian doesn't listen to hints. that this is maybe a bad idea. Maybe you're too low level for this. But I was like, no, we'll be fine.
Jastian's not too low level for anything in Jastian's mind.
Wow. All right. How about Max or Tony? You guys have anything stupid, or you leave that to Ben?
The latter. There can only be so much, in one party. I feel like Ben takes care of that. No, I've been pretty fortunate so far, which means I'm sure I'm going to do something terribly, terribly bad here before too long. You heard it here first, folks. Yeah. But no, I feel like Ben's been doing good with that.
I think the only thing that I can think of that I've maybe dabbled, but not quite like poor decision, was when we interrogated one of the fairies. And Gord, being a lawful paladin, finally remembering he can cast Divine Sense on something evil, realized Pixie was evil, so smashed him mid-conversation.
Yeah. What about the very first adventure in the sewers? You ran towards.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
Oh yeah, when you tried to help the dead guy.
Yeah. He's like, help! There's a dead guy over there. We better go save him.
Along with Gord, he's he's a country boy that has had like the most normal, good life that you can have, and with his family. So his naivety is through the roof, but he's slowly learning.
He's got a good heart, that kid.
So I fell into a pit trap trying to save him
With the gelatinous.
with a
Yes.
No spoilers.
So you're the character that did it. You're the one that jumped over and then fell in.
Yes.
Beautiful. That was designed exactly for that. Oh, there's a channel there. La-di-da, I'm just gonna jump over it, and you were the guy.
I like the guy. Well played.
He didn't even try to jump. He just barreled down the hallway, straight down.
And then I got out and continued to barrel down the hallway, to which a fire trap would have been happening, but the guy who died set that one off. So
That was a fun, like, first level dungeon. That was pretty great, Luke.
Awesome. I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, the low level dungeons are the challenging ones because, you need to have stuff in there that is interesting and challenging, but people have 2 hit points and they can die really easily. So that slime or that ooze that I had in there, I had to put, I think it didn't have quite as many hit points or something, and it had specific instructions about it's been trained to stay in the hole, and if people leave it won't follow you, just to make sure that, as much as I could, to make sure that you guys don't die because you're level 1, you know what I mean. Yeah, so
did that real quick. I think we just got a comment recently about how level 1, level 2 encounters in the adventure we've been going on has been some of the best level 1 type of things that they've seen, which I think also is a tribute to you writing it and just as much as us playing it.
Cool, thank you. What other, besides that adventure, Nick, what other one have they gone on?
Let's see. They've done a few of them. They've done the Dancing Meadery. That's one that we've just recorded. That episode has been for a while. They've done the
Tony Keg.
Yeah, they've done the. I'm trying to think of what the title is.
There's the Who Hunts the Hunters. Who
Hunts the Hunters. You've done that one.
Okay.
That's one of the stretch goal adventures.
Yep.
They've done the. Let's see, the one with Bediview the Black.
Trouble with Tricksters.
That's it. Yes. Yeah, where they're the Pixies are.
Yep.
Looking into that. With Maples and.
Yep. Just getting into that one.
No,
I think that's Who Hunts the Hunters.
I guess I mean.
No. The Who Hunts the Hunters is something the folks at home haven't seen yet. That was a Mean Den, possibly.
Oh yeah, a Mean Den. They're just starting that one.
So the ones the episodes that are about to air are the ones with the Dryad Felixia. Let's see here. Yeah, one of the stretch goal adventures, the level 2 one. Yeah.
Okay. Jeez. Oh yeah. That's Ash Castle.
Yes, that's the one, Ash Castle.
Is that the name of it though? No, it's called the Shrubbery.
The Shrubbery Knights. That makes sense.
The Shrubbery Knights. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. We will never defeat the Shrubbery Knights. That's the only thing I remember from that one. That's the only time Jastian's been charmed too, was by that Dryad.
Ooh, nice.
Check for that. Yep.
Yeah, I tried really hard in making those adventures to have something more interesting happening than just go into a dungeon, kill everything. Now, there might still be some of those in the module, right? Because it's Dungeons and Dragons, but with the Fey, the challenge was, okay, how could you make these things more interesting than just go into the dungeon and kill everything? And the Dancing Meadery was, I don't know how far you guys got it. Have you guys done that whole thing yet or not quite yet?
It hasn't gone live yet, but yes, you guys have finished that adventure as well.
Okay, that's with the Drunken Seder, right? Yeah. So that one was one of those where it's like, okay, here's a cool concept, and you could technically just go kill everything, but you don't have to. you know, and there's another. Okay, so everybody's laughing. So what did the group do then? Or is
Well,
it?
I'm just laughing because they had to talk me down.
Oh, you wanted to kill them all?
You actually, had you not rolled a 1,
That's very
everything would have
true.
gone completely sideways.
Absolutely true.
We had everything under control, and you were getting frustrated. But no, it's actually one of the things I like the most about playing with the Fey is that it doesn't always come down to violence. It's not black and white. There is room to make friends and figure out alternative ways of dealing with 50,000 gold piece bar tabs and things like that.
Wow. Who has a 50,000 gold piece bar tab?
The Satyrs did.
Because Max's character crunched the numbers.
Yeah, Max's character actually works for that brewery. Yeah.
And so he had to go tell his boss that, okay, we got rid of the Satyrs, but they drank approximately 50,000 gold worth of the product.
Wow, the dwarves were not happy, were they?
Or not.
He had to cope for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. He sent us out of the room and he yelled into a pot.
He didn't even
Like
send
9
everybody
minutes.
out of the room. He was in the cafeteria at Fort Raven Branch.
Okay.
And he just went behind the kitchen, put a pot over his head, and just screamed.
I think he said
In
like
articulate
9
frustration.
straight minutes.
Yes,
later.
9 uninterrupted minutes is, I believe, what how I phrased it.
Yes.
But it worked out. We managed to navigate that situation with 0 bloodshed.
Yeah.
Oh crap. My moderators are all yelling at me.
Uh-oh.
Danny said, I'm just looking at the chat now. Danny says, Luke, for the love of Helm, notice us and give us edit powers on the sheets again. We beg of you. I won't kill your character when you come to Texas if you notice us. I promise. So
Because on our screen, the spreadsheet is like covering the chat too, so we can't see it either.
so what happened here? The Penguin Butt says, Luke, we've been yelling at you for a while. I have
That comes like with that passive 9 wisdom check that Gord has.
Yes.
Welcome to the passive wisdom check of 9.
Okay.
Passive wisdom checks.
hold on a second. I'm gonna have to change.
You're cool, man.
Anyone with the link editor. Okay. Did I fix it, moderators? Can you edit it again?
Careful.
Editors or moderators, can you edit now?
Oh, hey.
Penguin Butt, can you edit it? Are you good to go? Penguin Butt?
Thank you message. So
Yeah, she says thank you, but she didn't confirm whether she could edit or not. Penguin Butt, come on. Penguin Butt. We all need a raise.
another question just popped up. So
Presumably.
I need someone to confirm if you can edit or not. You guys, just type in yes or no.
When I have to step away to adjust the computer, I can't hear anything except what they're saying because it's all in here. But
Yeah, they
that's
get-
great.
Okay.
They're good. All right.
Okay, they can edit again. Excellent. Okay, I apologize. So every single one of my moderators gets a 100% raise except for Danny and Penguin Butt. Danny and Penguin Butt will discuss. I'll tell you what, Danny, we'll discuss your raise at your next performance evaluation. How's that sound? Danny loves her performance evaluations. All right.
It's across the board, needs improvement, does not show up.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of questions too. I was looking at the spreadsheet. I was like, there are no questions. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these guys, man. You know, and now people are putting the questions in. Okay, all right. What we need to do though, before we go into some more questions and stuff, we are at our 1 hour mark, which means we need to do a cat strike. So, bear with me. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the procedures around here, but it is time for. Did we have someone redeem a cat strike? Well, first of all, I have to see if anybody redeemed a cat strike, because if we didn't have a redemption, then my kitties don't get anything.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Aw.
sorry, I'm brutal. Where is my channel points reward queue? Add that. Let's see. Did anybody redeem a cat strike? Yes, Scott Smith redeemed a cat strike. All right. All right. Thank you, Scott. So this is the cat strike. right here. Basically, it's it's kitty treats. Yeah, you got it. So I'm gonna do a cat strike, and then we'll do a quick bio break, and then we'll come back and we'll do some stuff. So,
That's good.
Love it.
all right, let's go over here. Hey, I got a little bit of a crowd. Oh, squeaky! I just smoked him in the head. I was shaking it, and then he got too close and got smoked.
And here I thought the kitty strike was not a literal thing, but
I thought it was figurative myself.
Oh, they're swarming. Look at these guys. It's totally literal. Yes.
Oh. I thought I was going to do a LeBron James.
All right. I'm going to go bio, get some coffee. You guys take a quick break if you want, and then we'll get back to it in a second.
all right, good. Wait.
Wow, this looks mildly inappropriate. You're muted too. Probably intentionally. Ed, keep your eyes off ravioli. Oh, by the way, Omnisar, thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate that. Uncle Dungeon Master, thank you for the prime. Tiffany, thank you for the raid. Appreciate that. And Dezalg, thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate that. Orange doesn't even fit in that box anymore. Just poor guy.
Thank you, Michelle, for trying to let us know that the moderators are blowing up the chat. I just read my text.
Oh,
Perception checks all over the place, man.
Lots of fails. We're having too much fun. I'm not gonna answer my phone on a stream.
wow. Yeah, I'm going back in time right now. To see all the stuff they were writing when they were blowing up the chat. Wow.
Was it an uninterrupted 9 minutes?
Hopefully Luke notices no change in the sheet and comes to investigate and find out we didn't have editing powers. I definitely was like, why aren't there any questions? Like, we're literally answering questions. Why are people not? Okay, I guess we're gonna end the stream.
It's funny. So I was like, oh wow, we must have lost everybody because there's no new questions. It's like, all right. Yeah, they've had exactly enough of us. Yeah,
And like one of the moderators typed in the chat, the moderator typed in, Luke, check the chat. We can't edit the spreadsheet. It's like typing into the chat. Check the chat's not going to help. It always says I'm trying to reach you telepathically. Oh man, this is so awesome. That's hilarious.
That's a review about Tasha Speaks.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, let's look at another question. We do have more questions coming in. Okay, here we go. Ooh. As a DM, how do you deal with players trying to twist Spiels? I have no idea what that means. Does anybody know what twist Spiels means?
Spells.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Oh, twist spells. Oh. Okay. Like using levitate to fly. So players who twist spells and try to use things like levitate to fly. So I mean, Nick is your dungeon master, but anybody's welcome to answer it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's plainly not intended to work that way, depending on how cheeky I'm feeling on any particular session, I'll either say, sorry, it doesn't work like that. Or if I think it's really awesome, I'll say, yes, but that doesn't set a precedent. And if I'm feeling, particularly jaunty about shooting it down, I'll have one of the wizard lawyers show up and present them with a cease and desist order.
I love how you said, I'll allow it, but it doesn't set a precedent. I use the same line with my players as well. It's like, okay, you had a cool idea. It's the first time you've attempted it. It probably presses the bounds of what that can do. So I'll allow it, but in the future, no, because we can't go that way. It's too much. That way they're kind of rewarded for having the cool idea. You know what I mean? But it doesn't like break things, for the whole time. Yeah.
I don't want, to create a second level spell that means a third level spell has no reason to exist. But you know what? If it's particularly awesome, I might let you slide on it.
Yeah. Any of the other three of you guys DM at all?
Yeah, I have.
I've dabbled.
I try not to.
I'm running, actually, we've been having it going on 2 years now. I've been running Tyranny of Dragons module for our group. Tony and Max are in that group.
Yeah.
And then we also, over quarantine, we started doing Dungeon of the Mad Mage online, which is massive module. But
huge.
I don't know how anyone would do it with physical maps and minis.
That'd be miserable. I did it for a little bit with the physical map with my youngling group. We ran the first level of Dungeon of the Mad Mage physical map, and it was miserable. But online play, if you buy the pre-made thing on Roll20 or whatever, it makes it so easy. It's just beautiful. So
they have all the rooms are set up with the right enemies, and
yes,
as long as you're like close to the right level for that dungeon, like you're gonna be okay with whatever you count.
That's the one thing, like, I love in person way more than I like online, but the one thing you can say about online play is if you are running a module and you buy the module on like Roll20 or wherever else you happen to be playing, they do everything for you and they make running that module so much easier than if you were being even in person, you know what I mean? So it is one of the benefits, I guess, yeah.
And there, I think there's a way to incorporate it in physical, like, being in the same space type play, like with, everything's like people are using TVs, like big old TVs for like digital tabletops and, all that kind of stuff. And I can imagine that if you could scroll around on the Dungeon of the Mad Mage maps for your players and use physical minis and things, like that would be a nice hybrid system. That's sort of my secret plan moving forward.
Yeah, I love minis. If you could like bring up Roll20 on like the flat tabletop with the map already there or something, and then just like you unveil the Fog of War and then have the minis in place. That'd be really cool. Yeah.
I'm a bit of a carpenter, tinkerer. I took a couple levels in that, and so I bought a used TV. It was like a 50-inch TV, and we call it the contraption because it's basically just a TV strapped to a bunch of boards, and it's got little fold-out like player table sides, and we've used that in our Tyranny of Dragons campaign.
Nice.
And it weighs about 400 pounds, I think, but it's really fun to like drag it out of the basement, put it on Max's dining room table, see what kind of trouble we can get into. But
oh, that's cool.
It works pretty well. Like, you know, it's
great.
plexiglass on top. And
Yeah.
it's got grit on it.
I mean, sometimes we accidentally turn it off, but you know,
Occasionally we lean on the buttons and
Yeah.
it turns off in the middle of an encounter.
To melt through the table.
Yes.
details.
It's an old plasma screen TV, so it's like gets super hot. So I had to like lift it up
Oh,
for ventilation, and it smells a little I don't know, smoky at times.
geez.
Probably,
Wow.
you know, we only turn it on for an hour at a time, and then we take a break.
Wow. That's cool though. All right. Let's take a look at the questions here. See what else we got going on here. As a DM, how would you handle a player whose character is a warlock with a pixie minion who is breaking action economy? So we can only imagine the pixie is using like its powerful polymorph and all that bullcrap, or summoning things or something.
I think if you're a Pact of the Chain, you can get an empowered familiar, and you get, I think it's a sprite that you can summon. But maybe some people homebrew that into a pixie.
That's what it sounds like. So how would you handle that?
I'd homebrew it into a sprite. No, it's like, this is one of those conversations that I think it might be best to talk to the player like outside of game and say, hey, I really like your character. The concept is great, but this whole familiar nonsense is wrecking my encounters. Can we talk about maybe
Yes.
using that differently, or
Yep.
finding a different ability? And sometimes you just have to do that. You have
Yep.
to have a conversation out of game. You know, I tend to shy away from like trying to restructure all of my encounters around the idea that there's going to be a pixie running around polymorphing people,
Mhm.
for example. So that just might be, hey, like, to have a talk DM to player and see if you can figure out a way to, you know, make this character fun and not ruin the player's fun, but make sure that it's working, and that you don't have to balance everything.
Yeah, I love that response, because most of the time when I make similar statements, if it's in a video or something or wherever, you'll get a slew of people making these comments where they're just like, oh, you don't have to nerf it, you don't have to take that away, you know, you're the dungeon master, you have all the power, you have everything you need to be able to change the game, to make it, balance it, and do all these things. You don't need to do that. You can just rebalance the whole game, to change the whole module, whatever, you know, to make it work. You don't have to nerf his parents, and they'll just go on and on. And I'm just like, you're a moron. 2, you've never been a dungeon master. 3, you've never had to change everything in a module to account for an overpowered broken thing. 4, you need to be quiet because you know what you're talking about. But like, so I love your response, because many people just don't get it. They don't understand, you know, and they just, somebody somewhere was just like, you know, made this wide sweeping statement of, oh, the dungeon master has all the tools he needs to change. And then players who just want to run broken, overpowered stuff like clutch onto that, and they're just like, ah, you know what I mean? So yeah. That's my rant. Rant counter 1.
Yes. I think, you know, there's a, you know, power gaming is, you know, min-maxing. I don't have any problems with that, but like power gaming, when you're just doing it to break the game or to like give yourself a really unfair advantage, that's not fun for any of the other players at the table. It's not fun for the dungeon master to have to.
People have fun too.
Yeah. You got to reinvent Dungeons and Dragons to make this like not completely overpowered. Like,
Yeah.
that you know, I get it.
In that realm, I don't think I overpowered my dervish dancer that one time, did I?
No, I don't think you did. You see, there's also an expectation you can set as a DM that can kind of get ahead of that a little bit. Like, I run occasional games where like a lot of like shaky interpretation of rules is allowed, just so that everybody who wants to make the biggest numbers can get it out of their system. We will just bounce off the walls like lunatics for, you know, a few sessions, and then we'll play something where we're dialing the level of power back a little bit, but to be more reasonable. That's the thing we did a lot with the
3.5 games we used to play
Mhm.
back in the day. That was easy to do.
Talk about OP characters in 3.5.
Oh.
Holy moon.
Yes.
what I'm saying. Yeah, I love it and I hate it for that.
You know,
Therefore,
but 5th edition is trending that way. You know, if you look at the new stuff that's coming out in Tasha's especially, it is trending that way. It's trending to making the characters more and more powerful. And the interesting thing too is that if you just take the core, just the player handbook, that's it. Those characters are already really powerful. Like they already don't really need magic items. They don't need anything to. They're already got a really hard, like especially paladins, and so now some of them suck. Rangers in the core player's handbook are pretty crappy, you know. But some of them are really powerful too. They don't even need anything. So now we got Tasha's that's just sweetening the pot, making it more powerful. 5th edition is trending toward that way of getting these broken combinations and things like that, you know, and. You know, there's always the question of, are they intentionally trying to break it so that they can come to the rescue with a 6th edition? You know what I mean? Are they just trying to sell books and they know that power sells? Like, you know, what's their motivations here? So, what's your take?
I wonder if it's not just the like natural order of things, right? Because I feel like 3.5 too, as they started like adding on more and more and more, like if that's just not, you know, like power entropy, like things just get more powerful as they go.
Inflation?
Yeah, inflation.
Inflation.
That's my take, at least.
I mean, power creep is a real thing, and it's you know, 5th edition's been around a while now, not forever, but a decent amount of time. So I think we're going to see more of it, and also, you know, with rules bloat and you know, people can with power creep and rule bloating, you're going to see more of that. And you know, people are pointing out very rightly so in the chat that you know, power gamers are often min-maxers, but min-maxers are not always power gamers.
Correct.
Yeah, you know. So it's and like I said, min-maxing is, I think, is taking advantage of what's there and making an interesting character. But if you're just there to, you know, destroy things, then no one's having fun, you know.
Yeah. I'm a min-maxer. It's enjoyable. It's like, yeah, I want my guy to be powerful. This is fun. Let's do this. Yeah.
I don't play this game to not feel like a hero. I mean,
Yeah.
I suck enough in my real life. I don't do that.
It's like, my life sucks. I need to escape. No, but that's a great point. It's like, you are a fantasy hero. You know, you should be able to handle yourself and kick some butt. You know, like, I don't know who rolls up a D&D character and is like, yeah, I'm just gonna be the bagger boy at the local gnome grocery shop. That's my D&D character. I'm the bagger boy. Yeah, that's me. You know,
that's my next stream. That's my next character. I love it. The bad boy.
baggy beats.
I did my Dervish dancer in that 3.5 was, I think, what did we end up at level 18, I think, or something thereabouts. She dual wielded scimitars. So with her dervish dance, she was able to have, I think, once per rest or whatever, she would have one round where she could do 16 attacks.
And that's why 3.5 takes forever. Right.
That's also does contribute.
You know, there are things I miss about 3.5. Like, I loved the skill system where every single level I got 4 skills plus my intelligence modifier or something like that, and then I could distribute them. I liked that. It was fun to me. And now it's like, essentially, for all intents and purposes, whatever you're good at first level for skills, you're pretty much gonna be that way the whole game. Yeah, your proficiency bonus kind of goes up here and there a little bit, but for the most part, whatever your first level, you're the same as far as skills go, you know, which is I get it, bounded accuracy. I mean, I get some of the reason, the game design behind it, you know what I mean? Because in 3.5, right, if you had, say, a grapple build, you could have your grapple at like crazy numbers, like 40 or something, and nobody could resist it, you know. So I kind of get it. It makes sense from a game design, but it's still not like super satisfying, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it seems like
in the course of trying to correct with some of the craziness that you could do with 3.5 as a system, like some things just went away completely.
Yeah.
Like in order to make skill checks not hit the 60s by level 12 anymore, we are going to do a different system. And that makes perfect sense. And I also want to be careful that I don't like age myself by saying that I preferred 3.5. But now Fitbit has different goals as a system, I think.
Yeah.
And it's still fun as heck to play. I mean, I'm not complaining about it.
I mean, I'll happily age myself. I've got an 18th level wizard in 3.5, and it's a lot of fun to have all of those spell slots and no concentration. That is real.
Yes, and then be able but the buffing before a major battle could take longer than the actual battle because you got to cast all those spells, and then you got to keep track of their durations and stuff. It's like, all right, hold on, yeah.
I mean, to be stone skinned and flying and hasted, those were the days.
Yeah, I mean, I like 3.5. In Pathfinder, I've played a little bit of it. It's essentially the same thing, and I would. If 5th edition were to burn to the ground tomorrow, I'd be happy to play 3.5. I think it was fun. I enjoyed it, you know.
I played it 2 days ago with a different group of friends.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's.
Just glossing over 4th edition, which friends don't let friends play 4th edition.
I never even. Have you messed around with 4th, Luke? Did you? Okay.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't intentionally avoid 4th edition. I didn't know anything about it. Essentially what happened was when I was getting after high school, I took a little bit of a break for D&D and then started getting back into it. And I had all the 2nd edition books when I was in college. And then right after college, I was getting back into it and I was like, well, I have 2nd edition books, but I went to the game store and I was looking at the newest edition of D&D. It happened to be 4th edition. And I was looking at the books and I was like, well, I could get new books and learn a new edition, but I already have 2nd edition. And I was just like, and I was kind of broke at the time too. So I was like, you know what? I already know 2nd edition. It was fun. I don't want to buy new books. And I was actually looking at the new books too. And I was like, everything in here is so different. I don't remember really what I was reading, but I picked up one of the 4th edition books and I was like, everything is so different. I don't want to learn a new edition. I didn't read but a couple pages and I was like, this is probably not for me. And then I just went and played 2nd edition for a year or so, and then took another break. And then when I picked it back up again, 3.5 was, wait a second. Was it 4th edition or 3.5? No, I might be getting my story confused. But I went to 3.5 after 2nd edition. No, I think I'm getting my timeline all mixed around. Point is, I never played 4th edition. I didn't know much about it. I went from 3.5 to 5th edition, and then people started telling me, yeah, Luke, 4th edition sucked. Yeah, it was just crap, garbage, flaming piles, which is interesting because I've talked to other people too who have told me that the problem with 4th edition wasn't that it was a bad game. The problem with 4th edition is that they called it D&D. Like, if they had marketed 4th edition as a different game and people didn't come to it with the expectations of it being D&D and playing like D&D and feeling like D&D, it might have been successful. But people came expecting D&D and they did not get D&D. They got like something different, and that was what's kind of been explained to me as one of the biggest failings of it.
I think the one thing that I've came across, I've never got a 4th edition book or played or looked at it at all, but I've seen bits and pieces of people that use at least the skill challenges, which I think is a really creative, cool concept that I've tried in my very minimal dabblings of DMing, tried to utilize, because I think that is a lost kind of thing, in my opinion, as far as skills, is that you just don't use them much. Or if you have a character that's skilled in something really bizarre, you certainly don't use it much. So it's just kind of a lost skill that you can't use much in a game that you're playing. So I thought that concept was super awesome and should probably be utilized again, maybe in the future. But other than that, that's all I've really heard that turned me on to 4th edition in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I use skill challenges in my games. I've never read or played 4th edition, but I heard about skill challenge. I think I was watching a YouTube video where somebody was talking about skill challenges, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I just started using it. And then there was also the idea of minions that only have 1 hit point. They have all their normal attacks and abilities, but 1 hit point, then they die. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea too. I'll just take that, you know? So I feel like there were like skill challenges, like you said, and then minions. There are like some good ideas there, which are very easy to port over into 5th edition, you know?
Those are probably minions and skill challenges are probably the only like redeeming, lasting things from 4th edition. In my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, I was so down on 4th edition when it first came out, and I regret it a little bit, I won't lie, because that kind of became a big ol' internet shouty fight on certain forums I was frequenting. And I think that the shouty stuff got a little carried away. Like, or in the first couple of, like, the first year or two after that came out.
Mm-hmm.
I played a couple of sessions of it with my dad's group who I was playing with at the time, and we all just kind of decided, no, we were having more fun in the 3rd. But, you know, I just, some people like really like that game, and more power to them, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, some people did like it a lot. I've never played it. Someday I might, but not. Somebody would have to run the game for me. I'm not going to learn it. No way.
Seems kind of similar to like the whole, to me, I'm not too well versed in all of the I don't know, Reddit and all that stuff, but same thing kind of with the Ranger stuff that's coming out with 5th edition. Because honestly, I made a Ranger in one of your campaigns that we ran last summer during pandemic, and I had a great time with him. Mm-hmm. But I also think it was sort of the world that he was in that he was able to shine a lot more too. So
yeah, that was an interesting side effect with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, quick question for you. This one's for Max. What is the best way to prepare chicken? I'm thinking of dinner, but I can't decide how to prepare or cook it. Go.
Are we grilling? Are we baking? What are we doing here? Because you got to start with the brine.
You need to just give an answer. You can't.
Brine, you need a little bit of salt. You need a little bit of something sweet, like 15 to 20 minutes. That's going to keep it nice and juicy. And then after that, man, if you got a grill, throw it on the grill, marinate it, or just throw it in the oven and bake it. I would definitely, like Google that for temperatures and all of that. But the brine is the key to chicken.
So throw it on the grill, then marinate it. There you go. You have it from Max. All right. So we just answered the most important question of the night. I love that. Question for Peak D&D guys. I've been loving the game. How much, if at all, did knowing what adventure you were going to play and what it was about influence your choice of characters when you were creating your characters?
It's fun. I was thinking about this today, and actually specifically thinking that Tony and Ben did a great job by choosing the options that are Fey related, like knowing it's called Into the Fey, like there's then the oath of nature or whatever it's called,
of the ancients,
yes. And then having the Fey patron. I mean, those are great choices for the DM, because as much as it's almost unfair, right? Like we expect the DMs as players to do all of the work and like, okay, do everything for us. But like a good player brings something to the table. So to me, making character choices like that, which I didn't do, is an example of a player showing up with like, here, DM, let's collaborate and make something awesome.
That's a very interesting perspective, because the I guess one way to look at it would be like, oh, so you basically cheated. You knew it was about the Fae, so you made a warlock that has a Fae patron, and you chose the paladin that had like the most advantageous features for fighting Fae. So like some people could see it that way. So I think your perspective on that, they did those things, but it helps the dungeon master to incorporate those more into the game. I think that's a really cool perspective. I would not have thought of that. I would have just been like, cheaters.
I found that it did, actually, because like in some cases, like where I diverged a little bit story-wise from the module, those characters sort of inspired me to look at the world in a little bit of a larger way. It's like, okay, so what Archfey doesn't like the Vex Morta?
Is there a clan of Fey that is looking to disrupt the insidious plots of the evil Fey? And I think the campaign is the better for it. So yeah, it's you have to pick whatever you want, play whatever you want. And it's also not strictly advantageous, as Justian has found to his dismay.
Me again.
To be affiliated with a different clan of Fey makes you something of a target. That might have something to do with why you keep getting knocked down in the fights.
Yeah.
So they're headhunting him because he's affiliated with the other Fae.
Yeah.
Oh,
Certainly the half elf benefits of against being charmed and being magically put to sleep were foremost on my mind when I was choosing. Yeah, and that because we're 3 players. The module is made for 4 to 6, so we decided to sort of play it on difficult mode anyway, and which it's worked out okay. But I was like, okay, if one of us is not going to be put to sleep by a bunch of pixies that gang on us, that could prove to be clutch. I'm not saying it did. Maybe it did. If you haven't checked out the videos,
It did. I'll say it did. Yeah, that's not play fair. Most of these people, check their stuff out.
But I thought it was just, I chose to be when I chose my patron as the Archfey, I was like, well, that just lends to flavor for this game. And I was intrigued to see, what Nick wanted to do with it, and I was. And I chose the chain master once we hit 3rd level, or the pack of the chain, so I could have animal familiars, and I just that's sort of part of my character's backstory. But I don't really consider it to be cheating with advanced knowledge of of what the world, and that's like session 0 stuff you should cover, right? Like, okay, this is kind of the world, this is the setting. How do you want to interact with it?
Yeah, and it makes it more fun too from the player's perspective, because like, for instance, I'm playing Descent into Avernus. You can pretty much guess if you speak Infernal and Abyssal, it's gonna be advantageous for you. So like, if I create a character that can speak Infernal, you could say that I'm cheating. But like, if I were to instead pick Giant and never use it, like, how is that interesting or fun? You know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of like, at what point it's the whole metagaming and character, all that kind of garbage. But, if you kind of know what you're going in for, it's not that big of a deal to kind of, like you guys, you played something, you're rolling up something that now the Dungeon Master can use, and you get to use those abilities, as opposed to just being like, well, I didn't metagame, but my character sucks. I never get to use anything, so yeah.
More victory. The best count. Yes.
Max, a little bit ago, it looked like you were about to say something. I don't know if you remember what you're going to say.
And credit that he made that choice of the half elf and being immune or having the resistance to charm and sleep, because Tony and I were both asleep. And had he not had that, I'm not sure how that encounter would have gone.
You were also a squirrel at the time.
I was also a squirrel at the time.
So Nick, they mentioned that the module is designed for 4 to 6 players, and most of the stuff was balanced for 5 players, and you got 3 players. Did you do anything to, I don't know if you want to discuss this in front of them, but did you adjust anything for the fact that there are only 3 of them, or are you just giving them hard mode?
Well, I actually made it slightly harder in places.
Nice.
But no, it's something that's in the back of my mind as as we run through the game on a regular basis. I'm always thinking, and as I'm doing my prep work, I'm thinking, all right, is this going to be too much for them? But thus far, the answer has always been no. There's been a few encounters where they have been exactly strong enough to make it through. But so far, we haven't run into a situation where they're just hopelessly outclassed and they don't have the raw numbers for it.
Hashtag dumbbell.
Hashtag dumbbell. Dumbbell is what I named the pixie abomination.
Oh, nice.
No, it's interesting. It's something that you do have to keep in mind. But if you know your players and know their skill level, you can usually get a pretty good bead on what they can and can't handle.
Yeah.
It seems like it's so far that that balance has been struck for us.
Beautiful. Now, are you the sort of dungeon master? Maybe you don't want to discuss this in front of them either. Are you the sort of dungeon master that if they're in over their head and a TPK is looming, are you going through with it, or are you going to be merciful?
If the TPK is my fault, I will avert it. That is my general guiding philosophy when it comes to it.
Mhm.
It's the result of poor decisions that they've made, that they're, expecting me to rescue them from. Those I don't. But if I misjudged how strong they are, and this dragon is wrecking all of their hit points away, then I can sort of pull back a little bit. It's like, okay, the dragon's gonna ransom you, but maybe we'll find a way out of it.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
long rest. That's our fault.
Yes, that is your fault.
Long rest in a dungeon. All right.
Just-
Another super, super important question, guys. What are your opinions on dice sharing?
Ooh. It's funny, man. I just watched your video on that, and it's actually something I wanted to ask. I was like, man, have you guys had problems with dice sharing? Like, I've never encountered any problem.
Do we have an intervention here?
Yeah.
Seriously. There are certain dice of mine that my wife is not allowed to touch.
Oh,
My wife is a divine creature of light and beauty, and I need these dice to be evil. I own dice that I brought to the grave of H.P. Lovecraft. I need them to be evil, and she's not allowed to get her nice on.
wow. Well, at least you have a really good reason for it. So the whole thing on dice sharing, it's an inside joke. I was reviewing Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, and we got to the part about social contracts, and it talks about, discussing hard and soft limits. Then it mentions dice sharing, discuss dice sharing, and make sure how people feel about dice sharing. And I flipped out on stream. I was like, this is stupid. You put this into a social contract. And so now it's just an ongoing inside joke. And so when I made my social contract video, I was like, oh, we're going to talk about dice sharing. So, yeah.
Like, are we able to share snacks? I don't know.
I know. Well, you can't touch my dice, but if you want my Doritos, it's fine. Yeah, so now apparently people in the stream like to ask about dice sharing.
Awesome. That is wonderful.
I'm all for, like, if it means that someone's going to play Dungeons and Dragons for the first time, I will give them a set of dice. I don't want them back though. Like, those are yours. I'll
Yeah.
get new ones.
You can have the ones that have failed.
Yes, you give them like the ones in the dice jail. It's like, well, I've been saving this set of dice for you. Give them those.
Here you go. That's exactly how I got my first set. I got all of the dice that my dad's group didn't want anymore.
I'm anti-dice jail. I am pro-rehabilitation. I regularly put all of my dice on the highest number as like some social, I don't know,
Practice.
yeah, monitoring. Like monitoring good behavior.
Some universe shit.
Yeah.
I know. I used to do that too. I would just put everything on the high side up. It's like, all right, baby, let's go. I don't know if it worked or not.
Side if you're playing 2 seconds.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
All right. Question for both DMs: how do you use flanking, Nick? And then, well, all of you can answer that. Anybody who's DM'd, go ahead.
I mean, it's tactically advantageous and intuitive, so I use it quite a bit. It's helpful, and I wonder if the spirit of the question might not be, what counts as a flank? Like, I basically just do it based on a clock face. Like, you got to be like within 1 hour of the direct opposite side for it to really kick in. But I mean, a lot of characters, rogues especially, are predicated on being able to achieve that regularly. So I feel like withholding it kind of gives them, it's kind of unfair to the rogue. But that's just me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like from minis, going back to 3rd edition and 3.5, right? Like there were flanking rules, and so if you've got players who are paying attention and being smart, then there should be, take advantage of that rule. Like, cool, +2, great, advantage. Yeah, let's do it. Let's make this. Let's be as good as we can be.
Sweet. I'm the outlier. I don't use flanking rules. It's,
You don't?
No, I don't use flanking rules. It shifts it. it favors melee characters way over ranged characters, wizards and stuff. Melees, and it's so easy to achieve flanking, and advantage is such a powerful mechanic in 5th edition. Like, especially with now, disadvantage sucks hard. Advantage is really, really good, you know. So like to be able to get advantage, and then you have crit hunters like paladins and rogues who are looking for that crit, and when you can get advantage very easily, then it's a lot easier to get that 20, you know. And I use it when I first started running 5th edition, and I just observed that it's like players almost always can get flanking. Enemies for some reason seem to have a harder time achieving the flanking and stuff. And it seemed like and then I had like, you know, ranged and spellcasters who were like, well, it's not fair, I can't flank, why can they flank? You know what I mean? So it was like, so I had a player who was actually kind of going through the whole arguments about, you know, why flanking wasn't a very good mechanic, wasn't fair and stuff. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And so I just threw it out. So yeah, we don't use flanking. So yeah,
fair enough.
I'm the opposite side of that.
I'm too fresh in 3.5, where spellcasters do not need any help at all. And melee might on occasion.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Do you ever get nervous before a game? Tony. Let's do Tony.
No, I don't think so. I think even going like streaming and not just playing around a table and playing in front of a camera, I kind of rose to that challenge too, and I just feel pretty normal playing. I think the one thing I was nervous about was my accent for Into the Fey, but I've kept it pretty well, and I write down everything that I like either come to before the game or outside the game, or what naturally comes out during the game, so that I can reference back like sayings and recipe ideas for random people, just to keep it like kosher and straight line for everybody. But as far as nervous just sitting down and playing, I don't.
There could be a Gord's Guide to Root Vegetables, Guide to Herbalism, and it would be entirely just colloquial sayings that he brings from the beet farm. Or he's gonna have a country western album, and I'm here for both of those ideas.
That's also true.
Nick, as the dungeon master, ever get nervous?
Every single time.
Yeah.
So that's just something I can't even front on. You know, in the face of expectations to deliver fun, I get nervous that I might fail at that and not deliver a fun session. But nerves and anxiety they're just fuel for your body. And what you do with that fuel is going to determine what kind of session you have. And thank goodness I get anxious, because some days I'm tired and I had a crappy day at work, and I wouldn't be able to get my energy up to where it needs to be to do my silly goblin voices. So I do get nervous all the time, but I make it work for me.
That's awesome.
DMing, I would agree with Nick. I get nervous if I ever DM, for sure. But as a player, not at all.
Okay. Nick, that's a really good answer. I love how you talk about taking that nerves and anxiety and redirecting it and using it in a positive way. You know, that's really cool. You've mentioned your goblin voices a couple times now. I feel like you owe us goblin voices. Go.
We are the Tornier clan, and we are here to take all of your money. Give me that money. Steve, get back information. What are you doing? We're professional goblins, and we have a reputation. Now, can you please come back? Like, you just walk back up here, and we'll get Steve's act together.
The adventuring party is just walking off. See you later, goblins.
I would be lying if I said random encounters hadn't ended like that before. Also, they're going to use pack tactics unless Steve gets his act together and comes back. Precisely. Yeah.
That's awesome. I remember being nervous once for a game. I was running at a convention. And I think it was one of my first times running a game at a convention, and I got a little bit nervous.
That's high stakes.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah. You know, it was with strangers, people I didn't know and stuff. You know, and I was a little bit nervous, and then I looked at them all, and I'm like, I could kick all of these nerds' butts right now if I needed to. And then I was like, nerves are gone. Goodbye.
Dude, I get it. Like the last time I DM'd was probably 10 years ago or so. Like, I very vividly remember sitting at the end of the table and just everyone just staring at me, just like, okay, make it happen. And it's like,
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah. Fortunately, I get nervous over some things, but dungeon mastering isn't one of them for, so it's good. I like it. I'm not trying to boast. It's just, it is what it is,
Precisely.
Let's do another. For Peak D&D, will we ever see what happened in the before times? I don't know what that is. There are some mentions of trouble they got into before the game began, but we don't yet know what or why.
Oh, there's definitely a story there.
Yeah, so we did like a session 0 encounter where all the characters met up for the first time, and like Jastian discovered his warlock abilities. He had never done magic before that, and Gord came into Airedale for the very first time, and was attacked by a fountain in the central.
True story.
And it was a pixie that was just messing with him, but it was sort of like the instigating moment of the party coming together. I believe Illingsworth, Max's character, as Rogue, was in the park, like in some shady deal, like was some clandestine meeting of passing off, getting paid or something. I don't know.
I mean, that is just being stereotypical of rogues making deals in parks. I feel like that's not fair. And no, so that all exists, and except technology was not our friend on that day, and so
Sound? Was it sound?
Yeah, we didn't want to release that as our first one. The sound was a little bit off,
Okay.
so we've saved it. We'll probably release it at the end. I'll do my wizardy magic to try to make it.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I think we'll just do like a highlights reel of that session 0. But
That's where you met your bird friend.
yeah, that's where I met my patron for the first time.
Yeah.
Like he cast time stop apparently, and like just talked to me for about a minute.
Oh, nice.
That's a thing you can assume happened.
And I think funny enough, after I got attacked and the rest of that whole encounter of the park, I was blind, so I don't know. I didn't see any of this.
And that is how you beheaded the statue of Arthur Grobel. Also true.
Gord has been blinded on several occasions in this campaign.
Several. And one day, Jastian will live through a boss fight.
And one day I will have more than 0 hit points at the end of a boss fight.
And hopefully more than 7 next time you encounter the Queen Below.
Wow, that's awesome. Regarding PC group composition, do you prefer groups that are well-rounded and ready for any obstacle, characters designed in a vacuum, or a themed group with weaknesses, or something else? So, DMs.
I feel like from just us playing together in general, it seems like the players at the table kind of have a very, very vague discussion of what everyone's going to be, so we don't step on too many toes. But we've also had the fortunate yet unfortunate truth of having too many players. Therefore, it really doesn't matter what you play because you're going to be well-rounded anyways. As far as us 3 in particular, for Peak D&D, I think with 3 people, especially for a 4 to 6 module, we were careful to have, okay, someone's got to have healing, someone's got to have spell casting, someone should hit kind of hard. And that should kind of be our 3, at least do those 3 things and everything else can kind of come together.
Our paladin sort of does 2 of those roles, so I don't know what I'm very true. Just zappy bird lasers.
Zappy bird lasers, yes.
I have very specific feelings on that question. And I think that, and this is my take, so feel free to throw it away if you want. But I think you got to get in where you fit in with the group, and that's up to the experienced players in the group. Like if it's someone's first time, let them pick the character they want to play, it should probably be a melee fighter if it's your like a melee role if it's your very, very first time, just to learn the mechanics. And then like if you've got a whole bunch of other fighters in your group and you're the most experienced player you've played before, then like, you know, play a spellcaster, play a cleric that's going to heal everybody and keep those frontline first timers up and in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, I guess I am for party balance. Like I think that's an important thing. Unless you're going, you know, unless you're with a group of really experienced players and you want to sort of put yourself in a situation where you're an entire group of rogues and that's it, just to see what happens.
Or themed weakness, like they were talking about.
Yeah. But I think it, you know, I like to follow the prescription of the more experienced players should get in where they fit in and help balance out the party to make it a better experience for everyone.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. My approach tends to be, I will tell my players, you guys can play whatever you want to play, but the game world does not change. So the game world is going to favor melee combatants, archers, maybe some wizards here and there, and that's what you're going to encounter. So if you guys all want to be wizards, that's fine. Just be aware that the game world is static. It doesn't dynamically change just because you decided to all be squishy wizards. And then my players have to figure out how to handle that. As a consequence, they usually discuss balance themselves because they know that Luke's not gonna change things just because they made certain decisions. But I don't care what my players do. They could do whatever they want, and then but it's on them to figure out how to make that work, you know. Nick, what do you think about all that? It's from a DM's perspective.
Yeah, from a DM's perspective, that's pretty much my approach too. I don't like to prescribe characters to the players. I think that that's, you know, a player decision to be made, and the consequences are also free for the players to enjoy. If I'm concerned that I'm not going to get to tell a story I want, I'll say, well, you sure nobody wants to play a cleric? All right. But it's I'd like to leave that in the hands of the players. I think that's their agency.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Let's talk about how to end a game session. Do you always plan a cliffhanger? Do you do a recap? Do you reveal hints about the next session, etc.? So,
I mean,
Nick,
the answer depends. What does the group need? I probably don't end on cliffhangers often enough for the dramatis personae here, but it can be fun. Recaps, I do them often. Typically, that's just a practical matter of there being 7 days or more between playing. And as to, well, yeah, I think that it really just depends on what the situation calls for. If I suspect that the group is going to be mulling a puzzle over for a week, I might drop a hint about the puzzle, or I might not. It's just depends on how close we are to getting where we need to be.
Yeah. I always have my eye out for a potential cliffhanger, but I don't force it, you know, like if it just so happens that a bad guy reveals himself and is like, oh, and they're just like, holy crap, that's, and it's roughly about when we would end the game session, then we end it, you know what I mean? So I keep my eye out for it, but I don't force it. I would say probably 10 to 20% of the time, a cliffhanger is possible, but the majority of the time, it just doesn't happen, you know? You'd have to force it. You have to end the game early or go late or something, and it just doesn't feel good. So
the timing has to like really line up, you know, for your players and your session time.
Yeah. Yep. It's not clean. Like D&D games aren't clean where the dungeon master can plan, oh, you know, we have 4 hours and they're going to do this, that. And that by the end of it, we're going to be able to end right here on this perfect story beat and this cliffhanger. It's going to be beautiful. It's like Dungeons and Dragons doesn't work that way. So it's like easy to like hypothesize that, but to pull that off.
That's one of the things that we've run into, you know, producing this content. You know, we're trying to keep these episodes light enough, you know, not super long, not 4 hours of gameplay. So we're trying to figure out like, where does this one end? Where are those beats in the story? You know, sometimes we have cliffhangers. Sometimes it's like, okay, and that was a thing, and we'll figure out what we're doing next time. So yeah, but I think it's that long form narrative of Dungeons and Dragons. You know, it's an ongoing story, it's an ongoing journey and adventure, and you sort of, you know, you should. I think DMs generally like just lean into that and know that like we as the players are going to remember those stories and pick up and fill in the gaps where we need to.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, this is what we're doing now. I am going to do a cat trip. So I'll show you guys what the cat trip is. You guys are gonna love this. Some of you might have seen this before. So this is the cat trip.
Okay.
This is what Max's rogue deals with in the park. You know,
Yeah,
the cat
There's
crap.
a lot of upset felines now because of you guys, just so you know.
All right. So, folks on the stream, we're gonna do the cat trip now, where I give my cats catnip, and they enjoy that. So, and then we're gonna take a quick little bio break, and we'll come back and do some stuff. So, let me get their cat treats all worked up here. We'll get to watch my cats roll around, get
7.
excited.
Oh, 7 cats, that's awesome.
Yes.
Okie dokie, gnocchi.
Yes.
That's a little guy. Little guy's here. He's gonna roll around a little bit. Yeah. All right. So I predict Orange is standing right there. I predict that Orange is gonna bite somebody.
Keep them all away.
Like literally, Orange will oftentimes just sit there, like doing nothing, and then somebody else will be rolling around having fun. And Orange, I don't know, out of jealousy, spite, something, will just pounce on them and bite them. So, all right, I'm gonna go bio real quick, fill my coffee up, and we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll get going again. All right.
Bardic inspiration.
Yeah.
I think
I
you can
thought,
only
didn't
do-
we look down that path and we
I thought with the family band, like with Rosalita and
I don't know if
well, maybe in
that's
3.5.
like a
Yeah.
real thing that we found, or if
I can't
Dave was
remember
just,
now.
or just Dave just wanted
Just said,
to.
okay,
Yeah,
that's
fine.
fair.
He
well,
just-
I mean, he was second
Do a
edition
little hand waving.
chops. Yeah, he may have not even known better
Oh.
or worse.
All right. You
it was. I mean,
guys ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do
All
your
right,
thing.
cool. All right, for the last hour here, let's transition to talk about YouTube crap. So, you guys are getting into the YouTube game. I've been in the game. So, let's talk shop. Ask me questions. I'll reveal all. I'll give you all my secrets.
then
Yeah.
it's a very, very long scroll out.
Yeah. Unroll this level 9. Scroll.
Yes,
Wishing.
yes.
So YouTube, how do you spell that?
So
Yes.
it's a
Um,
web, I believe.
If that's the first question, then I don't think any of the other answers are going to help you.
awesome.
Yeah, we've just been randomly typing things into our computers, and it's astonishingly lucky that we've uploaded anything at all.
Pure random chance. You put, monkeys and typewriters, they'll produce Shakespeare. Right?
Thanks to the internet, we now know that is untrue.
I mean, I have just nothing but questions. I've done my research though. I've tried to learn about all of the meta tags and all that kind of stuff. But I guess my first question is what do you do when if you're us, if you're a month into it and you're trying to figure out what you want, what chase the analytics, do you chase the titles and the descriptions, do you just go for the content? What if you could give yourself advice a month in, what would it be?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing is it's okay not to have any viewers, because most folks suck when they first start doing it, and you don't want to suck to a lot of viewers. You want to suck to a few viewers, okay? And then you'll get better, and as you get better, you'll have more viewers. So it's okay not to be great right off the bat, right? Because then you're gonna and then dedicate yourself to continual improvement, getting a little bit better, identifying the things where you can get better, like when you're editing, if you're using, you guys use jump cuts, it looked like. So when you're editing, use jump cuts. That's fine. That's one way to do it. Most YouTubers do that because it's easier. So when you're doing that, don't edit based upon the visual. You edit based upon the audio wave. So when the audio wave starts to drop off, don't leave dead space between your next take. Cut that dead space out. Have that frame. If you got 3 extra frames in there, people will notice 3 extra frames between when you stop talking and when you start talking. Start doing like J cuts and L cuts and crap like that to make it more continuous and fluid. So you just start doing little tiny continual improvements. That's the name of the game. So no matter where you are or where you're trying to go, continual improvements and getting a little bit better and better is the name of the game. So that's the first thing I could say. And I would probably focus on thumbnails and titles. As far as so you have thumbnails and titles, because if nobody clicks your video to view it, it doesn't matter what's inside of it. Okay. Now, after that, the biggest thing for you to look at is audience retention. Okay. So let me show you. I'm gonna pull up my crap and I'll share a screen with you. Stand by.
I was definitely going to say, Ben, on top of what cut via audio, which I don't know if you do or not, but once you find those dead spaces,
Yeah, I'm starting to do it more and more, and I'd like eventually. I think I want to get away from jump cuts.
I mean, yeah, I just think
everyone
like
does it.
yeah, the cuts in general though, when you do it from the audio,
Yeah, you got to do it from an audio standpoint, not a video
Yep.
standpoint.
Absolutely.
I'm leveling up. I'm just
Okay.
leveling up in the YouTube game.
All right. So there's so as we're talking about jump cuts versus, I call it crop cutting, but it's where you zoom in or zoom out, or you'll adjust like the framing of or whatever. I don't know if there's a technical term for it. The reason I used to do jump cuts and I got away from it, and there's two reasons I got away from it. One, it's more professional not to do jump cuts. Two, when somebody's watching a video, you want to hold their attention. You want to keep their attention. And when something visually changes every few seconds, it keeps their attention better. Even if all that's changing is your framing and zoom in or zoom out changes, your positioning on screen changes, it's something visually changing on screen, which is going to help keep their attention longer. So like if you guys do talking heads, it looks like, for a lot of your, informational video stuff. And for a talking head style video where there's not a lot of B-roll, you kind of, what are you going to change? If you're not using B-roll, then you got to have something change visually. And so that's going to be zoom in, zoom out, change your framing a little bit, as opposed to jump cuts, And so that's one of the reasons too that I use jump cuts. I don't use jump cuts. They're both very tactical. They're both intended to make it more interesting for the viewer and to help keep their interest, because things are changing and visually their brain has to, oh, it changed. Oh, it changed. Oh, it changed. You know what I mean? So that's all very tactful, the reasons for doing it. And it looks better. It looks a whole lot better to use a professional editing technique as opposed to jump cuts. Jump cuts are the lazy man's way of editing a video, in all honesty. And I did it for a long time, so I'm not criticizing it. I'm just calling it what it is, Yeah. So I went away from jump cuts a while ago for those reasons. And what was I saying? Okay, so we were going to
Retention.
Sorry. Yes, retention. So I'm going to go to, let's see. I got to find a good place to put your guys' little face. You can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Let's go to analytics. Actually, let's go to content. Let's pull up a video. Let's pull up an older video. Okay, here's a video. I'm just picking a random video. And let's go to analytics. And we want to go to engagement, I believe. Here we go. Retention. Okay. So this is the retention chart on a video. Okay. And let me pull this up. Big screen here. Okay. So retention was not super great in my opinion for this video. The reason that, so retention is basically how long is somebody watching your video. So if you look at this video, it has 48.5% of the video was viewed. So the average person watched a little under half of the video is what this means. And then at any point in time on the video, I can see that, okay, at about 6 minutes, 57% of people were watching it. At about, 22 minutes, this was a long video. Wow, this video was like almost a half an hour long. Holy crap. Okay, so at 20 some minutes, I had like 45% people watching it. And then it always drops off right at the end because I'm doing like in-screen plugs and crap. It's what's expected to drop off a little bit. What I'm going for, I'm trying to increase the retention. I want the longer people stay on the video, watching the video, that is going to send YouTube very good vibes. Because if I can get you to click on the thumbnail and the title, but once you get in the video, you're like, holy crap, this sucks. I'm out of here. You've just left that video, right? That tells YouTube that people don't like your content. Like you might get clicks and views, but YouTube doesn't care about clicks and views. YouTube cares about watch time. They want butts in their chair watching your channel. So the longer people stay on your channel, the more of your videos that they watch, that sends YouTube good signals. And then YouTube is gonna start pushing your content out to more people, okay? But if you have a great thumbnail and a great title, they come in and then they're like, peace out, I leave. YouTube is like, okay, nobody wants to watch their content, so we're not gonna send it to people, So you need to get people into the video, but then they gotta stay there. Okay, so that's what you want to look at retention. How long are they staying in the content? So for this video, I got, people to stay for well over 20 minutes. I got a lot of people to stay, which is okay. It's not, in my opinion, not a super well-performing video. what I'm ideally looking for, I'm gonna try to handpick a video that I think probably did well. Usually list style videos do super well. Here's a list style video. Let's see how this one did. Trying to find a good example of what you kind of want to do. Yes, this is a good example of what you want to do. Okay. What I'm aiming for a video, this is what I'm aiming for. I want to have over 50% average viewed, okay? And then toward the end of the video, I really want to have about 50% of people still here at the very end of the video, you know, before the big drop off comes. And I was pretty close. I wasn't totally there, you know. I was up into my 60s through a lot of the video, then it went down to the 50s. So that's, in my experience, that's pretty okay-ish retention. And then at the very beginning is when you're going to see lots of drop off. You're going to see tons of drop off at the beginning. That's pretty normal. And then it like levels off usually. So if you can get something like this with retention, that's what you're aiming for. Let me give you an example of what you don't want. I'm going to go to one of my earliest videos, and I'm going to assume that it had horrible retention because it's an old video and I probably didn't do a very good job at it. Let's see. I need to find like an old video. How do I find an old video? Go to the end. How do I go to the very end? Oh, it won't take too many clicks. I'm gonna go to like one of my very earliest videos.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you for like taking us behind to see the sausage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No worries.
I think I have a follow-up question after we finish here.
Yeah.
I love a good YouTube deep dive on people's channels. I YouTube stalk a lot of D&D content creators on YouTube. So if it's on your channel, I've probably seen it, to be quite honest.
Let's take a look at this one. This is a pretty old one. Yeah, you're welcome to ask follow-up questions. I'll do my little spiel thing here, and then you can ask your questions and stuff. I'm assuming this probably had a bad retention. No, this had great retention. Okay.
You're a natural from the beginning.
Well, anyway, what you would, let me see. Dungeon Master Tips Part 2. Let's take a look at this one.
You don't make
Analytics.
bad videos anymore.
Never did.
Oh, the retention on this was outstanding too.
Yes.
Look at this.
Crap.
You just gotta help it. You're so good at
Okay,
this.
okay, so sorry. So basically,
That's totally fine.
basically what would happen if you had bad retention, instead of it being like a flat line like this where people are like watching your video, when you know you have problems is when your video within the first like 30 seconds it goes flatline. It's at the bottom here, you know? Like when it's down around like 10% of people watching your video after the first like 30 seconds, you know something's wrong. Like people don't care, you know? Now, the next question is, well, what is it they don't care about? You know, because you know you want to get the good retention, but how do I do that? And why are people leaving? You know, it could be you have bad delivery. It could be you have horrible audio. It could be a lack of professionalism. You know what I mean? Who knows? You know what I mean? The more professional, the better you can make your video quality, your presentation, your audio. But I would even argue that I think a lot of it's your presentation. It's like, do people connect with you? Do people want to listen to you? You know what I mean? So if you can hone that, you know, and make yourself a personality that people enjoy listening to or something, and that's entertaining or whatever, they just kind of groove with you, that's probably going to help a lot with retention, because we're talking head style videos. You know what I mean? If you guys did B-roll type videos, like if you were doing stuff like 𝐑𝐄𝐄𝐄 or, you know, some of these other people who just take images off Google and, you know, just do tons of B-roll, then that's a different type of video, right? And then we're talking something different, but we're talking heads, you know? And so the audience needs to connect with you and mesh with your personality and stuff. And the more videos you do, the better you're going to get at your delivery, the better you're going to get at your style and who you are, you know what I mean? So it's kind of everything coming together probably to help with retention, you know, but you could also study your retention graphs too. And if you see a big dip somewhere, you know what I mean? You can go back and be like, okay, why did that dip right there? Why did it plummet? Oh, I said, that's all I have to say about that. I literally gave you an end. Like, you never want to give ending clues in your videos. You want to treat your topic like, you know, just you talk about your topic, and then you never say that's all, folks. You never say that's the end. You simply go into your end spiel. In my case, I'll usually promote one of my products, and then I'll tell people to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment for the algorithm, you know. But that takes me like under 20 seconds to do that. But I give no ending cues. Like, people don't know the video's ending until I've ended it. You know what I mean? And then they're clicking away and stuff, but I've given them suggestions as to what to click to. You know what I mean? So avoid those types of ending cues, I guess. Okay, you said you had follow-up questions. Go.
I mean, the only one I was thinking is, you kind of clarified just there, but then just switching back that we were talking about talking heads. What would do you have any like metrics or whatever that you would look to for gameplay? Because obviously gameplay videos are much longer and not nearly as different kind of audience based, I guess. You're not talking to the audience for kind of having an experience. So I don't remember what the metrics are. Ben might be able to talk to that a little bit. I was just curious of how that changes with length and style in that regard.
Right. Gameplay videos are going to have far fewer people that will watch those things. Very few people are going to sit through 4 hours or an hour even of watching people play D&D. If you want people, so there are two ways to, so I would not have high expectations for a gameplay video. We could go to my other channel, and actually let's take I've never looked at my metrics on my gameplay channel because I just don't care. So let's go look at one of them, and I'll share my screen with you again.
You did so.
I will change to my other YouTube channel. This one right here.
That was in the comments. That's very sweet of y'all.
Yeah, just missed the name.
Wait, what did they say in the comments?
Oh, they were just giving it. They said that we were doing good. They were very encouraging.
Appreciate it. We're leveling up, man.
Yeah,
That's
thank
all
you,
we need.
comment section, for not running us out of town on this stream.
Oh, they know to behave. My moderators love swinging swords.
Don't we all?
Let's go take a look at one of my Curse of Strahd videos and let's see what happened. It's probably not going to be pretty because it's a gameplay video.
It's a different metric to be measured by, honestly, because it is a video.
This is exactly what I would expect right here.
Yeah, that's what ours look like.
Yeah.
So
There's a flat line above zero.
Yeah, there's a flat line above zero.
That's a pulse.
So yeah, this is to be expected. What's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of people who click on it and are like, "Whoa, this is a 4-hour long video. I'm out of here." Ho 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 ho. And then you're going to have a core group of people who enjoy your content, who have been watching all of your gameplay unfold, and those people are going to watch the whole stinking thing, right? And they're almost assuredly, I almost guarantee you, they're not watching you. They're listening to you. They're driving to and from work. They've downloaded it. You know, they have YouTube Red or whatever, and they've downloaded it and they're listening to you. So the audio quality is probably the most important thing because they're just listening to you. They probably do not have butts in a chair for 4 hours or whatever. I guarantee you, all these people that were watching this weren't sitting there watching us play. Well, some of them might have been. Most of them were probably doing housework or driving or mowing the lawn or something while they listened to us play. You know what I mean?
Pretend work and just had a browser tab open.
Exactly. Yeah, you could be at work with the browser tab open and have headphones on. Yeah, exactly. So this is what.
My pleasure.
I think they look at our what are we at 12%? I think on some of ours throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, our core group we're small but mighty. Yes, we are. You know, we're level 1 YouTubers. That's what I keep telling everybody.
True story.
No, and I think that's what I thought of in the beginning is gameplay is going to be for our core group and our bread and butter is going to be the talking heads. That's why people come, but the gameplay is there for show.
Yeah. And so like when you look at the metrics, don't have high expectations. But the thing is that you guys put your gameplay and your talking heads on the same channel. So what you're going to find is your gameplay videos are going to get you a good amount of watch time, right? Which is a good thing. And so as you look to monetize, once you hit 1,000 subscribers, you need to have 10,000 hours of watch time, I believe is the metric. 10,000 minutes or 10,000 hours is one of the two. What is it, at hours?
4,000 hours.
It's 4,000. It's 4,000. Okay, thank you. So 4,000 hours. All of those gameplay videos are going to help you get watch time that goes toward that. However, once you are able to monetize, you'll make dirt. You'll be making like, $10 a month. So it's not even a rush. Like there was like a couple years ago or something, there was like this adpocalypse where people were like, oh no, our channels, we can no longer monetize and stuff because we don't have 4,000 hours. And everybody who knew anything was like, you guys are idiots. You're not making any money anyway. So stop complaining about it. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, once you get, so those gameplay videos will help you get those 4,000 hours, which will help you get more toward the track of monetizing, if you care about that at all. So splitting it 4 ways, though, nobody's going to make much. Yeah.
I think more of the thing is for it to pay for things for the channel, if anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, when you get big enough, it'll start to get a decent amount, it just, as you get larger and stuff. So if you look at some of these folks who are getting like 100, like if you look at somebody like XP level 3, dude, I bet you from, because I know what I make and I know how many views I get, right? He's probably making between 5,000 and 10,000 a month off from Google Ads. Guarantee you, because I know what I make and I'm just kind of doing the numbers. Between 5,000 and 10,000. But he gets like 100K to 200K views per video, right? So that is an accomplishment. I don't get anywhere near that. Very few people in the D&D niche do. You know what I mean? So that'll more than pay for your, that'll pay for a Mustang, which he has. So
I'm curious for you, Luke, what made you get on to the streams? Where does that fit into your model?
Okay, so the streaming. So when I first started streaming on Twitch, my thought was, okay, let's make some money, right? Like you can stream, you can monetize, you can become affiliate, you can become a partner, you can spend your time streaming and you can make some money this way because this is my business, right? Like my goal is to be able to quit my day job and be a full-time content creator, making videos, making adventures, that sort of stuff. So that's my goal. So this is totally a business for me. And I'm very close, by the way, but not quite there yet. Yeah. So for me, when I was looking at live streaming, I'm like, okay, make some money. And then when I started getting into it, I started to realize that live streaming to make money is very, very stupid. Because you are trading time for money. Yeah. Trading time for money is not what rich people do. Trading time for money is not what business people do. Okay. People who trade time for money have a natural cap at what they can make, like, yeah, sure, your hourly wage could go higher and higher potentially, but you still only have so many hours to work. So what you really need to do is you need to have something that can grow exponentially, but doesn't take more time, and that's where products come in. If you have a product, especially a digital product, you could sell that infinitely, put the same amount of time into it, roughly, and more people buy it and you just revenues, right? So streaming is a very bad value proposition as far as like making money goes, and it takes a lot of time. At the beginning, I wasn't aware of this. I was just like, oh yeah, I could, and I was making like $300 or something on Twitch, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go 3 times a week. I'm gonna start advertising it across my YouTube channel, get a lot of people there, get some subs and stuff, and then my goal was to get this up to $1,000 a month. If I'm streaming, 3 or 4 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a pop, I can get it up to $1,000 a month. You know what I mean? Now, if you do the math, that's not even minimum wage. It's pathetic. It's horrible.
Rent up here. Yeah.
So it wasn't, and so I was trying it, and then I started to see it wasn't quite as successful as I thought, and then also I was thinking about it and doing the math, and I was like, this is a dumb business model, dude. You don't want to stream and make money, and then I was like, all that time I'm streaming, I could be making a product, you know what I mean? I could be, like I ended up doing a Kickstarter, make money, and now I'm doing a monthly magazine, make money, you know what I mean? So it's like, so what's the opportunity cost? Doing all this streaming or I could be making a product. And so, but now, so now the streaming has two main purposes for me, or 2 or 3 or something. One, connecting with my audience and helping them. Okay, so people have questions, right? So when I stream on Tuesdays, it's usually just Q&A. I'm answering people's questions. I'm helping them. Okay, so that's a huge purpose right there, just to be able to help people. Second, when you're streaming and talking to the person live, it helps build relationships with them. They get to know you better. You get to know them as much as you can through reading the chat. But there are people in chat that are here all the time, and I know them. Some of them I know them by their names and crap. You know what I mean? So it helps develop that relationship and connection with people. You know, which I enjoy, which is cool for me, and they probably like it too. You know, and so there's like a sense of loyalty and kinship and family or some bullcrap, whatever that develops there. So it's good. It's cool. So those are a couple purposes there. The other thing that it does too is I literally take the Q&A stuff from my Tuesday live streams and I repurpose that content for my Saturday videos. So if you look at my YouTube channel, I have 2 different types of videos that go out. There's the Tuesday video, which is very highly polished, very high produced, has my skits, has my backdrop right here. I have an editor that I pay to do all the editing for that. Super, super polished to it, okay? And then you have my Saturday videos. My Saturday videos are none of that. My Saturday videos are simply a few clips or something from a live stream that I thought was pretty interesting, or it was a rant that I thought was funny, or it was a joke, you know, like don't take D&D breaks unless the pizza arrives, you know, just something stupid. And so I'll take something from a live stream and I'll just basically no skits, no nothing, just here you go, this is what we talked about, you know, and I'll usually plug one of my products, you know, in there as well, or I'll tell people about, you know, go get free adventures on my site or something, you know what I mean? So so the live stream, the Tuesday live stream also serves the function of being able to help me create content for my YouTube channel, you know, which then provides, so like you have a live stream, lots of questions were asked, but there were a few cool, really interesting things that happened. Well, let's share those with everybody else over my main YouTube channel. You know, produces content, you get views, you get watch time, you get a little bit of revenue, and then I can also piggyback a plug for some of the content that I create, you know, that people might go, because there's 2 different types of content. So that's okay. So let me get in. I'll talk about the content I create in a second. Friday live streams. Now, Friday live streams are totally different. I don't answer questions on Friday live streams. Friday live streams are 100%. We get together and we create a Dungeons and Dragons resource for people to use. We'll create traps. We'll create magic items, will create entire D&D adventures together on the Friday live stream. And then I take what we create, I publish it out to my website, thedmlayer.com, free. Anybody can go out there, you can get the magic items, you can get the adventure, 100% free. Now, some of the stuff is easier to get if you sign up for my newsletter, which then you get a month or a weekly newsletter, which gives you a link to a downloadable PDF, which you can print, makes it easier. Still free, still 100% free. So the Friday stuff is for the community to use so they can have something to use. Now, there's also a business purpose behind that as well. Okay, I'm providing free content. Now, the free content's not cheap, right? Because you guys know creating videos is very, very time intensive, right? It's very time intensive, takes a lot of effort. So I don't want to put a price on the videos. I don't want to put a price on my time. I want there to be lots of free content for people, but I still need to make money, because if I don't make money, can't pay for the house, wife can't get what she wants, you know what I mean? Like, we can't eat, we need medical stuff, you know what I mean? Like, you have to make money. So it's like, I want there to be free stuff. I want to help the community with free stuff, but at the same time, you have to have a revenue stream. Otherwise, you're not a business. You're bankrupt. You don't have a house. You're on the street. I don't know. So the free content goes over on the website, and then people can sign up for the newsletter. Now, the newsletter it'll give you the free content, you know, it'll also have a link to one of my latest videos. It'll also often have a plug for a product that I'm offering, you know? So like, you're getting free stuff, but you're also being exposed to a little bit of marketing, okay? Now, you can ignore the marketing, most people do, but occasionally somebody's gonna like, oh, he does a monthly D&D magazine. Let me go check that out. Oh, let me become a patron. I'm gonna get this as well. So it gives people that free content, but it also serves a little bit of a marketing purpose for me, you know? So there's a business rationale behind it as well. Still helping people, still giving them free stuff, but you're also getting the products that I create in front of people's eyeballs so that if they're interested, they can sign up for it. There's no compulsion to do so, you know what I mean? But you need, if you have a wonderful, beautiful thing that you believe in, like a product you create, a Kickstarter, a monthly magazine or something, if you don't tell people about it, like, what's the point? You know what I mean? You have to tell people about it. It's like, if you believe in something, if you think something is awesome, you should tell people about it, you know? So the newsletter and the website kind of fit into that paradigm of the business, you know what I mean? To tell people about it, you know? And some people are going to take all of the free content, the YouTube videos, the live streams, the free stuff on the site, and they're going to use it and they give nothing. And that's fine. That's fine. You know, because if they're watching the YouTube videos, I'm making ad revenue. You know, if they're going to the website, then I get a tiny bit from all the stupid ads that are up there. You know what I mean? It's fine. So if you don't have money, it's cool. You can take that stuff, no problem, because I'm still getting a little bit from the different ads and stuff. But if you have extra money and you want to get some of the premium content, then you can contribute and get the good stuff, you know, and that helps out the business even more, you know. So the Friday live streams has a business purpose, right? Which I just talked about, you know. So the live streaming in and of itself, it's more of like a means to an end. You know, it has lots of purposes to it and why I do it, to help people, all this kind of stuff I mentioned, you know, but the live streams in and of themselves don't make money. Like, I probably make about $300 a month from Twitch subs, you know, so it's not at all the purpose of live streaming. It has all those other purposes built into it, you know. So that's the live streaming answer.
Can I ask one quick follow-up question? What's your day job?
I
mean, yeah, we don't have to. That's cool. I've talked
about it before. I am a Scrum Master. Raise your hand if you know what that is.
At rugby?
No. So I work in the IT department at my job, and I work with software developers, and I'm like kind of like a team leader. What's the comparison? I'm kind of like a project manager, but I'm not. I help the team accomplish their goals, basically, but I don't direct them. The team is self-directing. They self-organize. They decide what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and they're left to their own devices. But I remove impediments. I help them to make sure that they're able to do what they need to do to satisfy our stakeholders.
So you're like a benevolent dungeon master.
Perhaps, yeah. I help you to not die to the dragon. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I do for my day job. So it's yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. So go ahead.
Say, I'm curious as to like what led you, and obviously we're not there yet, level 1 YouTubers, and but getting into Patreon and like all these other ancillary like sites and things. And how did you choose to get into that game and help support your community that way?
And even when do you choose to do such things?
Good question.
Wait, what was Tony's part?
When, like at what point do you decide to?
Right. So it has to do with the incremental improvement idea, right? So if you're in trying new things and seeing what works. So if you're trying to, if your goal becomes do it full time, then being full time is 100% a question of income. Once the income is there, you can be full time. It's 100% income. So once you want to be full time, it's like, okay, how can I grow the income? That's what it's all about. I want to be full time. Yes, I want to help people and do all that. Yes, understood, right? But if I want to help people and do all that cool content full time, then I have to have the income. It has to be there. So how can I grow the income? So then it's like, okay, well, let's try some stuff. Let's open up a Patreon. I opened up a Patreon several years ago, like 3 years ago, toward the very beginning of my thing when I only had like 4,000, subscribers or something. So open up the Patreon, offer a few things, see how it goes. Oh, okay, some people are signing up. Oh, okay, channel grows a little bit. My channel got to about 70,000 and I was making probably, 1,000-ish on Patreon or something. Oh, okay, offering them a certain number of things, but I wasn't producing products at that point. I wasn't producing the monthly magazine, right? So I'll make a little bit. I'll make $1,000. People are getting some benefits and stuff. And I was trying that out. And then I did the Kickstarter. And then the Kickstarter, I did that. And that did very, very well. If you look at the gross number, it was almost 100K, which you could be like, woo! But when you consider that the overwhelming majority of that all went toward artists and publishing and shipping costs and all this kind of stuff, right? That dwindles it, right? And then when you consider that as a self-employed person on that part of my tax income, I'm paying about 40% in taxes, that dwindles that. You know what I mean? And so once you take that big number and you shrink it all down and you're looking at about 15K, you know what I mean? And you're just like, whoa, okay, whoa. And you look at all the work involved with it. So I realized during the Kickstarters aren't actually to make money. They're actually to fund the creation of a product that then, after it's produced and available, can have ongoing sales, hopefully, that will then give you an income, you know? I also learned that digital products are way, way more lucrative, easier to create, easier to deliver than a physical product ever is. Holy crap. So I learned a whole, so as far as like currently making money goes, the Kickstarter wasn't super successful as far as that goes, but I did learn a crap ton of stuff, tons of stuff that is now helping me to do the other things that I'm doing. And so then you were asking, like, how do you try things and how do you get into these ancillary things? So we talked about the Patreon. I was seeing what I was seeing through the Patreon is I'm really just offering my hardcore fans, you could say, you know, greater access to me and my content and stuff, which a lot of people are going to sign up for, but not as many because, you know, it's like selling a shirt that says the DM layer. How many people are going to wear a shirt that says the DM layer? Only the people that are really hardcore. The majority of people are never going to buy that shirt. They don't care enough. You know what I mean? Which is fine. Same thing to be said of Patreon. And so then I was like, okay, look at how can I grow the Patreon? You know, what can I do? And when I looked around at what people were doing who were successful, I noticed they were offering products. They were creating a product that their patrons would get on a regular basis. There's a guy called DM Dave who has a Patreon and he creates a whole bunch of different DM resources. I saw what he was doing. I was like, holy crap. I punched some numbers and I was like, this guy's making like 20K a month on Patreon, roughly. You know, I looked at, there's some other people who make maps who got like 6,000 patrons. I'm just like, this dude's rolling in it, dude. He's making some good money. And so I'm observing what other people are doing, keeping my eyes open. And I was like, offering a product is the way to go for Patreon. And then, but also that I was thinking that over this last summer, I was like, okay, I saw DM Day. I got to start doing this. And then my buddy Alan from the Dungeon Coach came to me and he's like, Luke, I've been doing a patron PDF and holy crap, it's taking it to the next level. You know, it's doing very, very well. And he was starting to share some stats with me and I was like, wow. And so then in January of this last year, I started offering, at first it was called the Patron PDF. And I finally was like, that's the stupidest name I could ever give something. It's going to be called a magazine. And then we went with Layer Magazine. And in a way, it's homage to Dungeon Magazine, you know. And obviously I'm the DM Layer, so Layer Magazine, it totally made sense. And I was like, that's great. Dungeon is where bad guys live and you go to kill them. A layer is where bad guys live and you go to kill them. I'm like, this is perfect. So it was cool. And what was that, Tony?
I said, what's a peak then?
A peak?
That's the question. We'll figure it.
That's where you fall from and die.
It's where layers are. It's where, yeah.
So then I started doing the monthly magazine, and that's where I started to see, okay, this works. This is successful. Okay, good. But the all the ancillary activities, some of the things you try, and you're like, this doesn't work. I tried streaming, not gonna work as far as from a revenue generation standpoint, you know, in its core. So you try these things, you see what works, you see what doesn't work. You know, when I started doing the Saturday videos, I had only been doing Tuesday videos, the highly produced ones, for the longest time, one video a week on Tuesday. At one point, it occurred to me, I'm doing all these live streams. What if I just took some of my rants or my snippets and just threw them up on my YouTube channel? Let's see what happens. It's zero effort. I'm not gonna edit jack. I mean, I edit a little bit, but I'm gonna edit this thing as quickly as I can, just boom, 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 ship it. You know what I mean? And I started throwing these up on Saturday and they worked. People watched them. There was a positive response. I get people who are like, I love this so much better than the stupid skits. You know, it's great. You know, so it's like, okay, so I can basically repurpose my live stream content, throw it up there and it works. So you do these experiments, right? You try these things to see what works and what doesn't work. If if something doesn't work, okay, well, just stop doing it. You know, it's not a big deal. If the patron PDF had been an utter failure, I could have stopped. You know what I mean? You don't have to commit to it and do it forever. If it's a bad business decision, it's a bad business decision, and you just stop. You know, like the live streaming, it's like, oh, that's not working. Let's cut it back to 2 times a week, and let's have a purpose for them. You know, Saturday videos work, you keep doing it. You know, so you just try these things out. Current thing that I'm trying out is it's thumbnails and titles. Thumbnails and titles. That's like my current experiment, the things that I'm trying. And you guys are gonna love this. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. And I was like, wife, listen, I have discovered that if I put in a thumbnail of a YouTube video the picture of a cute girl, it gets clicks.
We were talking about the dogs and cats, let alone cute girls.
I was like, and I felt sleazy about it. I was like, I don't like this because it's like, you know, and my wife is like, but Luke, it works, you know? and I was like, I know, but I feel bad doing it. And she's like, that's the way it works, you know? And the thing is too, I don't put anything provocative, anything that shows skin, nothing. It's all very decently clad, very modest. You know, but it's just, you know, it's a girl with a face paint and an axe, gets clicks. Today's video, I had a girl with a notebook and a pencil, you know, making a weird face, you know, and that helped. So I've been noticing that trend, and I'm like, okay, I didn't create the rules, but if I want to be successful, okay. And then I'm playing with the text you put on the titles and the thumbnails. You know, what gets people to click? You know what I mean? It's like the content of the video is helpful and useful, and I believe in it. I need to get people into the content of the video. So if I have to trick them a little bit, if I have to play on some psychology bullcrap, you know what I mean, to get them into the video where the value is going to be delivered. You know what I mean? That it's like, okay, I guess you got to do it. Like, what are you going to do? Are you just going to make crappy thumbnails that nobody clicks on? Well, then why did I make the stupid video? You know what I mean? And there's probably somebody out there who's like all pure and who's like, no, you stick to your guns and you make crappy thumbnails, but good videos. And those people will fail. You know what I mean? So.
Again, was it Nick, the empty moral high ground? Empty moral victory?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes, the empty moral high ground. Yeah, exactly. You could take the moral high ground, but then you're going to fail. And then what's the point? You know, you're spending your time for nothing.
I think Nick once actually wished in a DM game to have the moral high ground.
Yeah, accidentally.
Used a wish for the moral high ground. So, that's totally.
Okay, so questions, follow-up questions, other things?
Oh man, I mean, this is like, you know, getting to talk like. I feel like you were showing us those videos earlier, and it was like Obi-Wan telling Luke, he's like, "Yeah, I used to be a really crappy Jedi at one point." Oh no, not really.
That was totally unintentional. I swear to you, I figured those would be just horrible.
It might be the people looking back at them after they've already gotten invested in the channel.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking. It has to be like people going back through the archives and like watching, and it just improves that click through.
I bet you it is. I bet you that's what it is. You're probably right. People are going back through the archives, people who are already invested in the channel, they're watching the older videos, and they've decided they're going to watch the whole thing. And my older videos are all short. They're all between 5 and 7 minutes. They were very short, you know, before I had all the skits and all the cool stuff, you know, before I started to pay homage to YouTube's watch time deities, you know. So yeah, I bet that's actually it. I bet those are all skewed because people are going back and watching them. Yeah, you're totally right. 100% guarantee you. Those probably all sucked, you know, a year ago.
Yeah, a few years ago, they were like, oh,
they almost assuredly were. Yeah. Because I didn't have that many views on those old videos. Those old videos had like 100 views, 300 views. Shoot, if I had a video that got over 100 views, I had celebrations back in the day. You know, the first time I shared a video to Reddit, it got over 100 views, and I was like, "Oh, Reddit! This is the way to go!" And then I learned how miserably, horribly, like nasty and despicable a lot of the people on there are, and how it made me feel. And I was like, okay, Reddit, goodbye. I cut the cord on them after a while.
Yeah, it's been fun. Well, that actually brings up a question. What where do you stand with social media, and like how do you and getting the word out?
So I don't do a whole lot with Twitter or Instagram, or those are the two big social media things. The way I've always seen it is I only have so much time, and making videos is extremely expensive as far as the time commitment goes, you know. So I'm going to put my effort into making the best videos I can, learning the thumbnails, learning the titles. Because the beautiful thing about YouTube is that it has an algorithm, and the algorithm will promote your stuff if it's good enough. If you have if you have the audience retention, if people are clicking it and you're getting people in there, it'll take a while, right? It'll take a while to get steam. But if you're making good content and people are sticking around and watching your stuff, it will grow. YouTube's algorithm will take you, you know, and it will grow. Now, some people grow faster than others. I had a stick where I was at 4K and one of my videos took off, and I found myself at 20K within like a couple of weeks. You know, it was just like boom, and then everything was hot for a while, and then things leveled off, and now I'm kind of growing slowly. You know, nowadays I don't care about subs. You know, it's irrelevant. Now I'm really, because I want to go full time, I mostly look at revenue. That's the most important. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things I do that are important to me, but from a business perspective, subs don't help me. They just don't. You know what I mean? So I look at different metrics are more important to me. You know what I mean? As far from a business perspective. Now, if you want to look at like personal desire perspective and wanting to help people and create content and be friendly and make people feel welcome, make them feel part of a community and stuff, those desires are all there. You know what I mean? But those are kind of like my personal desires, as opposed to like I'm running a business, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I don't want to make it seem like too cold and like passionless. You know what I mean? But there are different ways to approach what you do, and this is like the business mind, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
What was the question again? Did I answer it?
Yeah, you did great, man. You did great. I mean, I don't know. I guess I could throw out, I think we're getting close to the 7 o'clock/9 o'clock time, but I had one kind of random question, but how would you feel about another collaboration after this is all said and done?
Oh,
with you guys?
Ooh. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see. Usually my rule on collaborations, and I told the dungeon coach this too. You gotta be a YouTube for 1 year before I consider doing something. So like on my main YouTube channel, you got to stick it out for a year, and then see where you're at, and then come talk to me. So that's my basic response is always 1 year, come talk.
That's a good policy. I like it. And honestly, thank you for letting us get in on this and play Into the Fey, man. That was like an awesome, like you have no idea how excited that made all of us, like to find out that we're like, oh my God, we need to do something. So it's meant a lot, man. So thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that, Ben, you were very intelligent and wise, calculated, manipulative, however you want to call it. When you pitched your idea to me, you did it in a very intelligent way, because you came to me and you offered value to me. Okay, you said, this is how we can help you, and here is an example of our gameplay. And so a lot of people will come to the big dogs, or whatever, if you want to consider me that, and they'll be like, gimme, 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 we want. And then I'm just like, dude, who are you? Come on, man. Don't come to me just with your hand open asking for stuff. But if you go to, you know, a big dog or whatever, and you're like, hey, here's how I can help you, then you get their attention, and they're like, oh, you want to help me? Okay, I don't know who you are, but you just offered to help me and give me value for something that I'm doing. I'm interested. And then you know, I went to the link on your video, your gameplay, and I watched it for a little bit, and I was like, hey, these guys are actually pretty funny. And the video production was decent. The audio quality was decent. I'm like, hey, okay, what's the time commitment for me? 0. I send them a copy of the manuscript so they can play it. And I'm like, so I was like, what's the downside? There's not much downside, Luke. They're doing all the work for you, and they're helping promote your product. Okay. And what do they want? Oh, they want me to help them promote their YouTube channel a little bit. Well, that's easy for me to do. You know what I mean? They've you know, I'm not gonna. Here's the thing too. So when you pitched that to me, I saw all that and I was like, okay, cool, let's go. So that made it. So that was a very wise way to do the proposal. You know what I mean? The other thing too is, I know from experience that having a big dog mention you, name drop you, share links to you and stuff only works if your content is good. There in the D&D niche, there is another dude who is very big, and he has a friend who is not very big. And the big dude has promoted and pumped his friend's YouTube channel several times, and his friend's YouTube channel is stuck and doesn't grow. That's because his friend's YouTube channel is not well produced. So people go there and then they bounce off. And here's the funny thing: the friend's YouTube channel isn't very good. He tweeted a while ago, like a year plus ago, I remember. He tweeted and he's like, I don't get it. Every time I publish a video, I lose subscribers. And I'm like, hello, I can tell you why. Because they got recommended to you from the big dog. They subscribed. They found that they actually didn't like your content. And then when you published the video, YouTube sent them a notification. They saw it and they were reminded, oh yeah, I don't like this guy's content. And so that was the reminder to unsubscribe from you. That's why you lose subscribers when you publish a video. So the point is that it doesn't matter who shouts you out or gives you exposure. If your content isn't good and can't stand on its own, people won't care. And that shout out won't help you. You know what I mean? So, you know, I could shout you guys, I could shout this guy out or that guy out, you know what I mean? And it's cheap and easy for me to do. But if their content isn't good, then it reflects negatively on me, that I'm recommending people to go there, and it's not gonna help them anyway. So why do it? You know what I mean? There's no point in doing it, you know? So anyway, those are like things that go through my brain, you know?
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing our best to live up to your trust here.
Yeah, we'll try not to embarrass you. Yeah, we're just here to make Dad proud.
I mean, I'm recommending people to watch the gameplay videos, which I think are hilarious. You know, I only watched a little tiny bit of one of your talking head advice videos or something. I'm strapped for time, so don't take it personally. But your gameplay videos are funny and hilarious, you know, so.
We will take that. We will take it all. And it's funny, like Ben and I with those talking head videos, we were like, oh, where do we start? Oh, we start at the beginning. Like, let's teach people how to play. But like, there's so many videos doing that. So as we get on, we've gotten kind of more into like where our real wheelhouse is with those videos. And that's got us pretty excited, I think.
What do you feel your wheelhouse is?
Oh man. So like the myth of Dungeons and Dragons, in like the older sense of the word, like it's such a robust game and there's so much terminology and language and concepts that you can take off the table to apply to your real life, that I think is like a useful tool, you know, not to like mazes and monsters and like lose, to disassociate with reality and like jump off building, the Empire State Building, shout out Tompkins, but like to make sense, to like help make sense of life and to take the game off the table to like help people live better and make sense of the world. You know, there's lots of lenses we can put on, like Star Wars, nature, or games, and I feel like D&D is one that we can also use.
Cool. So you're trying to find something that you feel that is interesting to you, but also that other people aren't already doing.
Totally.
Yeah.
We don't want to just, you know, rehash every other video that's been done on Dungeons and Dragons, and we'll probably, just to stay relevant, end up doing, you know, review type content and things like that too. But that's not really where our heart is.
Yeah.
You know, but and there's a lot of, you know, I think that Max and I were talking about this the other day, is like the biggest thing, you know, there's so many DM focused, you know, and because it is the biggest job of all of them, you know, it's a very big role to take on. But, you know, I really feel like, you know, I want to make good players that DMs want to play with as well.
Yes.
Offer, you know, a lot. And sometimes, you know, people don't know when they start to play D&D that power gaming makes it less fun for everybody. You know, those kinds of things. Like, if we produce good players,
Yes.
then the DMs' lives get easier too. So,
Yeah, I have two comments based on what you said. One, review videos, they don't perform very well, so don't worry about it. Like,
enough.
I put out a review video and people don't care. So, yeah, just the side comment. Helping players. There are very few channels that I've noticed that actually give player advice. Here's the thing. There are lots of channels who will be like, all right, we're going to rank the paladin subclasses, the best to the worst. All right, here we go. Oh, we're going to rank the top 5 overpowered combos that you can play. Okay, let's talk. And they'll go through the feats. They'll go through all this stuff. Those aren't doing a service, in my opinion, to players. Those are basically trending. They perform super well as YouTube videos. They will get clicks, they will get views, they will definitely help you. That's why a lot of the bigger channels do them, because they work as far as just getting people to watch your stuff. But they aren't actually doing that big of a service, in my opinion, to players. They're not actually helping them become better players. They're actually helping them become worse players in a way by showing them all these things, and they come in all min-maxed in power gaming and they think that the most important thing is to be the best at everything, and that's not, you know. So I feel like it's underserved, and some folks who make those videos are probably not doing that great of a service with those sorts of things, but it works from a YouTube perspective. So the fact, if you're trending and you're thinking of making videos to help players, that's great. And I've actually had people that have left comments on my videos, and they're like, Luke, you do all this Dungeon Master advice. It'd be great if you could make player advice as well. And I usually don't respond to them and just say, no, I'm not doing it. But usually in my brain, I'm thinking, well, I have 2 problems with that. First of all, my channel is focused on helping Dungeon Masters. Second of all, I don't play a whole lot. So I could give you advice from a Dungeon Master's point of view of what I would like to see from my players, but I couldn't probably give you really the best player advice just because it's not my wheelhouse. I'm not a player a whole lot, you know, and I'm probably sometimes I'm not a good player. but I've definitely seen people want that, you know what I mean? And I think it's the thing is, though, be aware that when you produce those sorts of like how-to videos to be a better dungeon master, to be a better player, they tend not to perform as well on YouTube. So you're not going to have as many people watching them, you know. There are exceptions. There is one very big channel that usually does like how-to dungeon master videos. He is an outlier by far. He denies every rule. He doesn't follow rules on thumbnails, on titles, on anything. And yet he is successful. So he's an outlier. So don't look at him. I think you probably know who I'm talking about. Don't look at him as like a guide of how to do things. He's an outlier. Okay. So some people's how-to videos do work really well, but a lot of them, it seems like they don't perform as well, you know. So you're gonna have fewer, like my videos don't perform super well usually, you know, compared to like other channels of my size who get way more views and stuff on their videos because of reasons, you know. So there are a few people that watch it, but I'm providing, and if you were to create like how to do player videos, you're providing a really good service to people, you know what I mean? And you're probably also gonna attract a different type of audience as well, you know, people who actually are interested in being better players, or in my case, better dungeon masters. So the community is probably going to be a little bit more healthy, supportive, friendly, and that sort of stuff. You know, you're probably also going to attract more mature players. Instead of people in their teens and 20s who tend to be more immature and not have as much money, you're going to be attracting people in their high 20s and 30s and 40s who are more mature and who are more interested in the content you're producing and also have more money. So that in the future, if you decide to put out a product, your audience is going to be able to purchase that product, you know. Whereas if you were doing stupid skit videos that appeal mostly to teenagers and low 20s, those people tend to not have a whole lot of money to spend on products, you know. So you might get tons of views by making silly videos, you know, they get, you know, that people find entertaining and watch, but they might not have money to spend on a product you make. You know what I mean? So those are all things to think about, you know, when you're developing an audience, depending on what you intend to do down the road. You know what I mean? But there could be a lot of really good things that happen with a how to be a good player type video. You know what I mean? That audience right there. So I'm just supposing, you know what I mean? Like if you do it and you fail, don't blame me. I'm just saying it.
Back to your business mind. I mean, like Tony pointed out, dungeon masters are always outnumbered by players, right? But you guys are expected to do all the work. So an underserved market, players.
Yeah. So
I've always said you should. I've thought this. I don't know if I've said it out loud a lot, but I think you should strive to be the player your DM wants at their table. You know, and that's to me that's the whole philosophy of Dungeons and Dragons. It's just people sitting around having a good time, telling a collective story, and if you're contributing rather than, you know, like you said earlier, gimme.
yeah.
People should be more into that.
Yeah, I agree.
Where's my magic item?
Where's my magic item?
Munchkins.
But if
You're level 3.
But if you're not getting one,
All right. Any final question? Anything come to your mind?
Just a big thank you to having us on the stream and letting us do the playthrough.
This has been awesome.
great.
You've given us a lot to think about as we try to build our level 1 channel into maybe a level 5 channel someday.
That'd be great.
But yeah, there's a lot of food for thought, and I just can't thank you enough for having us on.
Yeah.
It's been really fun. It's been great. Yeah.
What was that, Max? What was the first part you cut out?
it's been really fun.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, guys. And we can definitely maybe a few months down the road or something, if you guys have more follow-up questions, you know, for YouTube or crap like that, then you can come back on a stream and we can talk again. These streams are like, you know, this is the sort of, I enjoy talking about this crap, you know what I mean? And there aren't a whole lot of people. There are probably people that are viewers who are interested in it, you know what I mean? But it's, if I'm just like talking at them or whatever, it's doesn't always work super well, you know what I mean? But to have people on who are interested in it and have good questions to ask, you know what I mean? I'm happy to share information. You know, it's like I told you guys at the beginning, I think before we were on stream or something, you know, the information isn't the key, you know, it's actually implementing it and doing something about it, because most people are too lazy to actually do what it takes to be successful, you know? So I'm happy to share information, you know, and if it actually gets used and you win, then it's like, okay, giddy up, let's go, you know? So, yeah. So,
Yeah, at the very least, we could at least touch base on another stream of after Into the Fey concludes to see how we all panned out. If we all made it, I don't know. How many potatoes were at the end? Yes.
yeah, that's awesome. All right, beautiful. Well, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. We're gonna do a little raid on a different channel here. And then I'll end the stream that way. If you guys want to hang out for just a second, once the stream ends, then I'll pop back over to our Zoom call with you, and then we can just wrap it up real quick. So,
Awesome.
Sounds good.
all right, cool. So I'm gonna go back over to everybody over here, and we're going to find a channel to raid. Give me a hot second. Everything is backwards, so I have to find all of my buttons. All right, we're gonna raid somebody, and
Aquí se dice telenovela, allá.
quiet. No, nobody speaks that language except for me. All right, here we go. I'm finding someone to raid. I'll share my screen with the chat. All right, let's find someone to raid. Careful Cantrip, I've raided them before. Let's scroll down. I always like to raid somebody who's got, like, you know, 7 viewers. And you know, of those 7 viewers, 5 are the players themselves, you know.
You need a lot to it. Oh, for sure.
Ooh, what's this? Ooh, Damien the DM table. Are they live? No, we're not doing that one. Let's see. I'm very picky about who I raid to. Ooh, this one looks interesting. Let's do this one. We're gonna raid Ace the GM.
Yeah.
Ace the GM. Okay, hold on. Let's get over here. Let's set the raid up. Raid channel. Ace the GM. Ace the GM. Here we go. And are they live? They're live. They're not on a break stream. Okay, here we go. Folks in the chat, go jump in the raid. Go show these folks some love. Say hi. Be nice to them.
34. Get them Raiders up.
Yeah, they're gonna get dumped a whole bunch of people. All right, here we go. Raid. Raid.